Chapter 1. After being reborn, my first act was to forge a kidney failure diagnosis report. In my past life, my nephew was diagnosed with kidney failure and needed a transplant to survive. I immediately went to get tested for a match and ended up donating my own kidney to him. But then, my health began to fail. At 20, I had the body of an 80-year-old. I struggled with even simple tasks like sweeping the floor, making it impossible to go out and earn a living, yet my brother and his wife accused me of putting on an act. It's just one kidney we're asking for. Did you really think you could just leech off us for the rest of your life? My sister-in-law went a step further. She bought a pair of pig kidneys and threw them in my face, saying, "We'll take one of yours and give you a brand new pair." Happy now, missing that one kidney. I died in a rented room before I even turned 30. When I opened my eyes again, I had gone back to a time before my nephew was diagnosed with uremia. "I don't want plain water, I want cola." My nephew Miles knocked the water cup over and started shouting, "We're all out of cola at home. Have some water for now." "Sweetie, Grandma will go buy you some cola this afternoon." Even with the hot water spilled on her, the smile never left my mother's face as she said softly. The moment I opened my eyes and saw the scene before me, I shot up from my chair. "I'll go buy it. I'll go right now. If Miles doesn't want it, that's fine. Auntie will go get you a cola right now, a big bottle." I said this as I headed for the door. I didn't let out a sigh of relief until I was safely out the front door. I instinctively touched my side. It was smooth and intact, with nothing missing. Thank goodness. My kidneys were still right where they belonged. In my past life, Miles was diagnosed with uremia. He relied on dialysis to stay alive, and a kidney transplant was the only chance for a complete cure. As soon as I heard the news, I went straight to the hospital to get tested for a match. Later, when the hospital told us we were a match, my brother and his wife practically got down on their knees to beg me to donate a kidney to him. They swore up and down that after I donated, they would take care of me for the rest of my life, and even promised that Miles would support me in my old age. My mother also tried to emotionally blackmail me, saying, "If you don't donate, I'll jump off this building. Let's see how you can sleep at night with 2 lives on your conscience." I donated one of my kidneys to Miles, saving his life. However, this took a massive toll on my own health. I became disabled with only one kidney. My company let me go, and my body could no longer handle work. Just walking a few extra steps would leave me gasping for air. Losing a kidney also meant I could never have children. You could say I became completely and utterly useless, and at this very moment, my brother and his wife turned their backs on me. Not only did they cut off my living expenses, they kicked me out and left me to fend for myself. My brother Jake said with a cold expression, "You only lost one kidney. Did you really think you could just leech off us forever? Don't be so greedy." My sister-in-law tossed a bag of bloody pig kidneys in front of me. "You gave one, I'm giving you 2 back. Fair's fair, right?" Even my own mother looked at me impatiently. "Miles is your nephew. If you won't donate to him, who will? We're family. Why are you being so petty about this?" I died in despair in my rented room, with not a soul grieving for me. That vicious family, on the contrary, lamented. She was going to die anyway. We should have just taken both her kidneys for Miles. This time, no one is laying a finger on my kidneys. Chapter 2. I stood in the supermarket and bought 5 cases of cola outright, so Miles could drink his fill. Miles has had a thing for sugary drinks since he was a kid. These days, he won't touch plain water, only flavored beverages. Jake tried to break him of the habit once, but Miles would rather die of thirst than drink a drop of plain water. My mom was so heartbroken she nearly fainted. She ended up buying cases of drinks for the house so he could have his fill, drinking like that for over a decade. It's no wonder he ended up with kidney failure. I brought the cola home, and Miles happily started drinking it right away. During dinner that evening, I casually mentioned that I was planning to get a health checkup. My sister-in-law Gina said with a sarcastic tone, "You must be doing well for yourself. Not like me. I still haven't scraped together enough for Miles's tutoring fees." I pretended not to catch her drift. What good is studying without good health, actually? I think the whole family could do with a checkup. I know my own body perfectly well. There's absolutely nothing wrong with me. The medical checkup was just a ruse to fool them. Miles' condition could be discovered at any moment. As long as I stay in this house, I risk reliving my past life's fate. That's why I have to run far away this time, and make sure none of them come looking for me. I found a uremia diagnosis report online, changed the name on it to my own, and then sent it to the family group chat. I arrived home with the test results in hand. Before stepping inside, I paused to put a few more drops of eye medicine in, then finally opened the door and went in. 3 people were huddled on the sofa, deep in discussion. When they saw me come in, my mother walked over, her expression grave. Looking at her face, I felt a little dazed, as if she was genuinely worried about me. But the words she spoke next shattered that illusion. I've spoken to the doctor. Your condition is a bottomless pit. You'll be on dialysis for life. You're just living in misery. I think it's better to just give up. Miles isn't even an adult yet. College, getting married, none of that comes cheap. Your brother and I can't help you anymore. You'll have to figure it out on your own. Gina walked over, a slight smirk playing on her lips, a hint of schadenfreude in her tone. That's right. Sasha, you just had to go get that checkup. Look what happened, went looking for trouble and found it. Miles is still young, you should move out sooner rather than later. Don't pass your bad luck on to him. The whole family was talking over each other, making it clear they wanted nothing to do with me. I wiped the tears from the corner of my eye and dropped to my knees with a thud. Mom, the doctor said my condition is treatable, I just need a kidney transplant. And family members are the most likely matches. Could you and my brother go to the hospital for compatibility testing? If that doesn't work out, Miles's kidney would be an option too. The moment those words left my mouth, a heavy slap landed across my face. You wicked woman, how could you be so heartless? Miles is still so young, and you dare to set your sights on him. Gina glared at me with pure venom, looking as if she wanted to tear me apart with her bare hands. Covering my face, I sobbed. People can live with just one kidney. If he gives me one, I'll treat him as my own son. I'll support him for the rest of my life. And when I die, all my money will be his. Do you think I'm stupid? How many years do you even have left with that illness? When you're gone, your money will go to my son anyway. I turned to Jake again, pleading, brother, please save me. I don't want to die. Just go to the hospital for a compatibility test. There's no guarantee it'll even be a match. The moment I finished speaking, my mother stepped in front of Jake, her eyes filled with defensiveness. Your brother is young and strong. He can't donate. What if it affects his health? The three of them stood there, a united front. I'm just dying, but Jake would be losing a kidney. Clutching my chest, I sobbed. Mom, I'm your daughter too. How can you bear to just watch me die? That's just your fate. If you die, you die. I still have a son. I gave you life, so you should be grateful. I got up from the floor and glared at the people in front of me. Fine, you're all this heartless, are you? You'll get what's coming to you. With that, I flipped the table over, then grabbed a chair and smashed the house to pieces. The sheer force I used was nothing like that of someone who was seriously ill. Seeing I was armed, the three of them didn't dare to stop me, only hurling a few curses my way. After I was done, I looked at the home that was now a ruin. Finally, I felt that knot of anger in my chest release. I turned on my heel and walked out without a single glance back. Chapter 3. I ran as fast as I could, terrified they would realize what had happened and come after me. A message from my mother came through. You little beast. From now on, I'll act as if I never had a daughter. I took a screenshot of the message and posted it directly to my social media feed. My relatives saw the post and were completely baffled, having no idea what was going on. A short while later, my mom also posted a status update, effective today. I, Joan, am severing all ties with Sasha. From now on, we have no connection in life, sickness, or death. Our relatives and friends just thought we'd had a fight, so they were still planning to try and talk us into making up. Blood is thicker than water. What could possibly be so bad between a mother and daughter that you have to cut ties completely? I replied immediately, don't bother. I don't have a mother so cruel that she could stand by and watch her own daughter die from illness. I'm seriously starting to wonder if there was a mix-up at the hospital. How else could there be a mother in this world so utterly heartless? I sent them the medical report directly, as soon as they read what was on it. Those relatives immediately turned their accusations toward my mother. Joan, Sasha is your own flesh and blood. How can you just abandon her when she's sick? How heartless, to forsake family for the sake of money. If it were my daughter who was sick, I'd sell my house to pay for her treatment. My mother read those messages blaming her and was so furious she could practically taste blood. She immediately shot back. She's not after money. She wants a kidney. How dare she set her sights on her own nephew? My grandson is still so young. How could he possibly donate a kidney? If we're talking about cruelty, she's the cruelest one of all. Hearing her say that, it was as if everything was suddenly my fault. If I hadn't been reborn, I might have started questioning myself. But with my past life as a reference, I now know to only care for myself. In the end, these relatives still favor sons over daughters, believing boys are more important, and with that, they all fell silent. Family ties are supposed to be thicker than water, but now that a relative is in trouble, they're suddenly playing deaf. Sasha, can't you just stick with dialysis for your condition? Why do you have to have a kidney? Your brother is a man. He can't manage without one. That's right. No amount of money can buy a kidney. You're really going too far this time. I smiled and replied immediately, Auntie, why don't you give me one of your kidneys then? You're a woman. You can live with just one. After that, none of the relatives dared to speak up. After all, a kidney is a vital organ. Once it's gone for good. It doesn't regenerate. No one was willing to gamble with their own life. Seeing me being condemned by everyone, Jake chose that moment to play the good guy again. I can't give you a kidney, but don't worry. If you ever run into trouble later on, I won't just abandon you. If his word was worth anything, pigs could fly. I ignored him and pressed on with the relatives. We're family. Is there really no one willing to help save me? Are you all really that heartless? No one replied after that. Their message was clear. They wouldn't help and wanted nothing to do with it. Good, now I can relax. Miles's condition will flare up soon, and with no one to help him, let's see what Jake can possibly do. Chapter 4. I rented a place and changed jobs. This city is huge. They'll never find me now, once I was settled. I went back for a visit. Ever since graduating, I've been living at home. Every time I tried to move out, it was impossible because my mom had her eyes on my paycheck. She kept a tight grip on my money, using it to subsidize Jake and his wife. I have to get back what's rightfully mine. A few days ago, my home was smashed to pieces, but it's all fixed up now. When they saw me return, a few of them glared at me, grinding their teeth. I didn't waste any words on them and just tossed what I was holding in front of them. I don't want your kidneys anymore, but you owe me for all the money you spent. Spread out on the floor are the printed bank statements from all these years. Every single withdrawal my mom made is accounted for right there. They can't possibly deny it. Gina looked at the numbers and let out a shriek. Where would we even get that kind of money? Oh, so you do think it's a lot now? You didn't seem to mind when you were spending it. Hand over the money. No. I plopped down right on the floor, making it clear I wasn't going anywhere until I got paid. My mother waved her arms, trying to shoo me away. I raised you for over 20 years. What's the big deal if I use a bit of your money? Get out of here. I let out a cold laugh and pulled a small knife from my pocket. Fine. Don't give me the money. I can't afford treatment. Who knows what I might do when I lose my mind. Hey, sis-in-law, I remember Miles is in class 2, grade 5, right? Hearing my words, everyone froze, afraid to make a sudden move, terrified I might snap and take them all down with me. Fine, I'll pay, take the money and get the hell out of here. Naturally, seeing the payment notification on my phone, I got to my feet. Before leaving, I took one last look around the house I once lived in. Dad left this place. By rights, I should have a share in it too. Jake was on the verge of a breakdown. Get out. This is my house now. It's got nothing to do with you. I didn't say a word, just gave them a meaningful look, one that was more than enough to make them worry. After I left, the group was so worried they couldn't sleep a wink, terrified I'd show up again someday if I ran out of money. After thinking it over for days, they decided to sell the house and get as far away as possible. After all, I was desperate for cash and had nothing to lose. If I snapped and decided to take it out on society, they'd be finished. Not only do we have to sell the house, but we also have to transfer Miles to a new school, somewhere I can't even find. They got moving right away. Miles had settled into his current school and had no desire to leave. Throwing a huge tantrum at home, Jake was already on edge. And the sound of all that racket pushed him over. He slapped Miles right across the face. But that single blow was enough to knock him out cold. My mom was holding Miles and wailing in despair, but Jake thought he was faking it. It's not that big a deal. He's definitely putting on an act. It's not like he hasn't been hit before. Even so, I knew that Miles was having an episode. Chapter 5. My mother pinched Miles's philtrum and managed to rouse him. After waking up, Miles kept pressing his lower back, complaining of pain. No one in the family took his symptoms seriously. Instead, they said, kids don't have a real lower back, stop faking it. Miles was transferred to a very strict private boarding school. He had to live on campus from Monday to Friday, and outsiders weren't allowed in. This was his first time living at school. To make things easier to manage, students had to ask for permission to use the bathroom at night, and they were only allowed to go once. If anyone went too many times, their parents would have to be called in. One of the symptoms of uremia is frequent urination. He needed to use the bathroom several times every night, but he was terrified of getting his parents called, so he didn't dare go. He just had to hold it in. Finally, one day, he held it in for so long that he passed out. The school rushed him to the hospital. Seeing his swollen limbs and sallow complexion, the doctor suspected he might have uremia. The news hit them like a bolt from the blue. My mother's eyes rolled back, and she nearly fainted on the spot. Swaying unsteadily on her feet, Jake, slightly more composed, shouted, "Impossible, my son is perfectly healthy, it can't be uremia. You quacks are making wild accusations without even running tests. I'm going to report you." The doctor, having seen this kind of reaction many times before, didn't argue with him and simply took Miles for the necessary tests. Seeing the stark diagnosis of uremia on the medical report, their last shred of hope was finally extinguished. Oh, the injustice, my dear grandson, how could you be struck with such an illness? My mother let out a sharp cry. Gina stared in wide-eyed disbelief, and Jake's face darkened, unable to utter a single word. The doctor quickly tried to reassure them. As long as you stick to the dialysis treatments at the hospital, there shouldn't be any major problems. That being said, dialysis is a lifelong commitment, and it shortens one's lifespan. Miles is only 12. It's impossible for him to live into his 70s or 80s like a healthy child. They had already looked it up online. Dialysis is expensive, requires long-term treatment, and places a significant financial burden on the family. If you want a complete cure, it's not like there's no way. The three of them looked at the doctor. They knew exactly what that way was: a kidney transplant. My mother was the first to react. A kidney transplant will do it, right? Take mine. I'd give my life for my grandson, even though she was willing. It wasn't that simple. Jake closed his eyes for a moment and said to my mother and Gina, "Let's all go for tissue typing to see if we're a match." The chances of a match are higher among relatives. All three of them were ready to give it a try, but Jake hesitated just as the needle was about to go in. He had looked up the dangers of living with one kidney online that morning. A weakened constitution was one thing, but the fact that he could never have children again was another. It would essentially render him a useless man, unable to handle any physical labor. After all, he was a man. If he didn't donate and the son died, he could always have another one. But if he lost a kidney, he'd be the one paying a huge price. Thinking it over, he refused point blank to go through with the compatibility test. Neither my mom's nor Gina's kidney was a match for Miles. The family's last hope is gone. "Why didn't you get tested? If our son dies, I'll kill you." Gina found out Jake hadn't been tested. She broke down, grabbing his collar and sobbing. Jake shoved her away. "You idiot. Didn't the doctor say it? He can live for over a decade on dialysis. If I give him my kidney, I can't work. Who's going to support this family? Why don't you look it up online? After a kidney transplant, the medication alone costs thousands a month. Who's going to pay for that?" Gina was a housewife. With Jake controlling the family's finances, she was in no position to argue. Sensing the heavy atmosphere in the room, he continued, "Miles is my son too, and I only want what's best for him. As long as I'm around to provide for him, he can live another 10 or 20 years, no problem. We can always have another child. Who knows, maybe the next one will be a match, and we can give him a kidney. Problem solved." After all, he was her own flesh and blood. Seeing Miles in such agony, Gina couldn't help but feel a pang of compassion. That's when my mom spoke up. A mother's heart aches for her own son. After all, she thought Jake made a good point. As the family's main breadwinner, he couldn't afford to lose a kidney. They could always have another child. And so, the matter was settled. Chapter 6. During his first dialysis session, Miles lay on the hospital bed, writhing in pain and crying out. Even Gina and my mother together couldn't hold him down. The dialysis session lasted from dawn till dusk. When it was finally over, Miles wept, saying he never wanted to go through it again. Without dialysis, it would mean certain death. My mother couldn't bear to just stand by and watch Miles die. It's just a kidney, with so many relatives and friends. Surely one of them would be a match. The very next day, my mother went from door to door with gifts, begging for help. But given my own shining example, no one was willing to give her the time of day. "I'm begging you, please just go get tested for a match. The doctor said you can live with just one kidney. We'll take care of you for the rest of your lives. I promise you won't lose out." Anyone can make empty promises. Only a fool like my past self would believe something like "we'll take care of you for life." "Joan, no amount of money can buy back a kidney. This is just Miles's fate. You have to accept it." Those were the exact words my mother said back then, and now these people are throwing them right back in her face. My mother was mentally prepared for this situation. If you want someone to donate a kidney, you have to show some genuine sincerity, but all she did was make a lot of noise without any real action. She thought showing up with a bit of milk and a fruit basket was enough to get someone to give up a kidney, as if her basket was made of solid gold. So what she called sincerity was seen by others as nothing but relentless, shameless pestering. Fed up with her nonsense, the relatives simply threw her out. My mom wasn't ready to give up. She stood in the doorway, hands on her hips, and yelled back at them. "It's just a compatibility test. Not like we're asking for a kidney. What's the big deal? We're family. What's wrong with taking a couple of vials of your blood?" These relatives were their last hope. They couldn't just give up. So, Mom and Jake split up to take action. My mom went to the school to find my second aunt's grandson. She lied, telling him his grandmother was sick, and tried to take him to the hospital for the compatibility test. Fortunately, the teacher was cautious, sensed something was off, and called my second aunt's family. Auntie immediately sensed something was wrong and tried to go out to help, but Jake and his wife blocked her at the door. The shameless couple knelt right at their doorstep, refusing to let them leave. Auntie's family was frantic with worry, nearly driven to jump from the upstairs window. Driven by their desperate urge to save someone, the two sides ended up in a fight. The sounds of the fight were heard by the neighbors next door, who immediately called the police. The whole group was hauled in. And the police even went to the hospital to detain my mother as well. Ugh, when Sasha needed a kidney transplant, not a single one of you lifted a finger to help. Now that your grandson is sick, you're begging everyone for help. I'd say this is karma. Serves you right for favoring sons over daughters. Now all the relatives knew about their dirty deeds, with Auntie's relentless gossip on top of it. Jake and his family became complete pariahs, despised by everyone. Their relatives and friends all kept their distance, terrified of being dragged off for a compatibility test and having a kidney harvested. Back at home, everyone was utterly dejected. Gina muttered under her breath, "That jinx, Sasha, it's all her fault. She must have been the one who passed the illness to Miles," even though each of them knew perfectly well that uremia isn't contagious. They could only find some psychological comfort by blaming me. My mother listened to her. Smacked her lips thoughtfully, and suddenly it clicked. She realized she'd probably been scammed. She had been watching Miles's symptoms for days, utterly drained, confined to bed, winded after just a few steps. Yet that day, when I was smashing things at home, I seemed to have boundless energy, nothing like someone who was sick. Once she collected herself, she tried calling me immediately, only to find she had already been blocked. Chapter 7. The very day I left that house. I blocked every single one of them on everything. I didn't even spare Alipay. They went looking for me at my company again, only to find out I had already quit. I vanished completely from their sight, as if I was deliberately avoiding them. That just made them even more certain I was doing it on purpose. Seeing Miles in such agony tore at their hearts, and they vowed to find me no matter what. They decided to go to the police, hoping to use their authority to track me down. But as an adult who wasn't actually missing, just out of contact, the police wouldn't take the case. Realizing the police were a dead end, they turned to public pressure as their next tactic. One evening, the family went live. The live stream was titled "Searching for Sasha." My mother faced the camera, putting on a show of maternal concern. "I'm at my wit's end," she said. "I've begged everyone I can think of. My grandson is so young. I just can't bear the thought of losing him, sweetheart. I miss you, please come home." As soon as she finished speaking, Miles in her arms immediately started crying, wailing "Auntie," as if he shared a deep bond with me. Then Jake began accusing me of being heartless and ungrateful, saying I wanted to cut ties with them, and even released a video showing me trashing the house. After their heavily embellished account, the portrait of a vicious woman who cared nothing for family was painted. How cruel. We're family. And she could just stand by and watch her own nephew die. It's just one of her kidneys, not her life. What's the big deal? I'd be thrilled to have my brother and sister-in-law take care of me for the rest of my life. After seeing all this, netizens started blaming me, doxing my information, and trying to track me down. I have to admit, the power of the internet is formidable. Soon enough, someone posted my photo in the comments section. Is that her? I ran into her at the supermarket the other day. I ran into her on the subway yesterday too. You can tell just by looking at her face that she's bad news. I live in the same complex as her. I know exactly where she lives. Watching the comments section about to expose my entire life, my heart skipped a beat. I absolutely could not let them find me. One night, I left the city immediately. Since there was a surge of influenza at the time, I wore a mask and a hat when I went out, which didn't raise any suspicion. After I got settled in my new place and checked my phone, I saw that my mom had already tracked down the apartment I was renting. Good thing I left when I did, or she would have caught me for sure. But it wasn't a total loss for them. Thanks to the live streams, their account gained a lot of followers, and people were sending them gifts. The money came in way faster than any day job, especially when they streamed Miles getting his dialysis. The viewers in the chat felt so bad for him. The virtual gifts were practically flying in like they were free. They got a taste for the attention and started live streaming every one of Miles's dialysis sessions. Over time, Miles grew accustomed to the treatment and stopped crying. This didn't sit well with them, so they'd secretly pinch him out of the camera's view to make him cry. The louder, the better. Meanwhile, holed up in a hotel room far away, I watched it all unfold and began compiling the evidence I had gathered. They'd forgotten that earlier, to monitor Miles while he did his homework, they'd had me buy a camera online. It was installed in the corner of the living room. That camera captured the entire confrontation between me and them that day. I edited the video, added subtitles to make it clearer for netizens, and then posted it. The video quickly went viral, and public opinion immediately flipped. Damn, they totally had it coming. This whole family favors sons over daughters. When the daughter gets sick, it's fate. But when the grandson gets sick, they rush to get him treatment. Thank goodness the young woman got out of that house, otherwise they would have bled her dry. I told you to let it play out. Now, hands up if you never once cursed her out. Jake's livestream got reported and he can't milk sympathy for cash anymore. The comments section, once flooded with my photos, is now all about them. They get pointed at and whispered about on the street. They have to cover their faces even when going to the hospital for dialysis. The people who sent him gifts were so furious they mailed dead rats and funeral wreaths, scaring them so badly they're holed up inside, trembling. But with new internet sensations popping up every day, their little scandal was soon forgotten. It seemed as if everything was getting back on track. Chapter 8. With a kidney donation from a relative no longer an option, Jake and his wife had no choice but to try for another child, hoping a second baby could save their firstborn. However, given their age and Jake's habits of smoking and drinking, conceiving again proved to be quite a challenge. Several years later, Gina finally became pregnant again. By that time, Miles was nearly an adult. He had grown accustomed to the routine of going to the hospital for dialysis. Feeling that his life wasn't so different from anyone else's, the sudden news that his own mother was pregnant again was something he struggled to accept at first. However, when Jake explained that the second child was meant to save him, his reservations faded away. But plans often go awry. If Gina had given birth to a daughter, she might have been able to donate a kidney to Miles. Unfortunately, Gina had another son. My mom was grinning from ear to ear when she saw her little grandson. It's like the main account was a bust, but now a new alt has arrived. This little grandson is incredibly well behaved, like a dream baby son to repay a kindness. He never cries or fusses at night, falls right asleep after his bottle, and beams at anyone who looks at him, even at just a few months old. He seems to understand everything you say and does exactly as he's told. When the child got a bit older, his first word was Dada, which absolutely thrilled Jake. The whole family grew fonder of this younger son, and slowly, Miles began to be overlooked. As the second son grew older, his grades were outstanding. He aced every test, coming in first place. Without even needing to attend cram school, Miles's condition was deteriorating rapidly. Without a kidney transplant, he was staring death in the face. With death creeping closer, fear took hold. He went to Jake, demanding to know when he could finally have the surgery. Jake's smile froze. Their second son was still young and so promising. He might even get into a top university someday and bring honor to the family. Losing a kidney would ruin his future, so the whole family was unwilling to sacrifice their prized second son. They'd rather Miles just died sooner and stopped being a burden. Miles is an adult now, and he's long since figured out how everyone in the family feels about him. For days, his family has been ignoring him, showering all their affection on the second son. They've already written him off, yet he can't say a word about it. Jake is the one paying for his dialysis treatments. If he falls out with the family, he's finished. It was right then, in his confusion and helplessness, that I came back. We hadn't seen each other in over a decade, and he barely recognized me. My refusal to donate a kidney to save him back then had left a lingering resentment between us. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his tone icy. I just smiled, brushing it off. "You're my own nephew. I missed you and came to visit. Let me take you out to eat, anything you want." Seeing there was food, Miles obediently followed me out. When we sat down to eat, I looked at his sallow face and sighed. Honestly, my brother's heart is so cold. He wouldn't even give you a kidney. At the mention of that, Miles lost all appetite. "What do you mean? Wasn't it you who refused to donate a kidney to me back then?" "Don't be silly. I'm just your aunt. Our kidneys wouldn't have been a match anyway. Your mother and your grandmother both got tested for compatibility, but your father backed out at the last minute. If he had gone through with the test back then, you probably would have been cured ages ago. If you don't believe me, go ask a doctor. Biological fathers and sons are much more likely to be a match." Miles had no idea about this. He thought Jake simply wasn't a match, and that's why he didn't donate a kidney. The words hit him like a bolt from the blue. His lips trembled as he kept repeating, "It can't be. It's impossible. You're lying to me. Why don't you just go home and ask him yourself? But I'm telling you, you should just accept it. Your dad's got his new son now. His heart hasn't been with you for a long time. Asking him will only humiliate you." Chapter 9. My words shattered Miles. He'd been the center of attention at home for over a decade. Always thinking his parents' love had only shifted when his younger sibling was born, to suddenly realize he had never truly been loved in the first place, his devastation was unimaginable. He ran back home to find the whole family already at dinner. No one had waited for him. They saw him come in and didn't even bother to ask where he'd been. Miles completely lost it, storming up to Jake. "Why won't you get tested? Why won't you donate a kidney to me? Are you just waiting for me to die?" Jake hadn't expected this old wound to be reopened. He slammed his hand on the table and shot to his feet. "What the hell is wrong with you, daring to question me? I gave you your life. I raised you all these years, and you show no gratitude. Now you want my kidney too." Feeling guilty, he couldn't bring himself to give a straight answer, but Miles wouldn't let it go, pressing him relentlessly. "Why won't you get tested? Why?" Frustration boiling over, Jake slapped him across the face. "How dare you, you little bastard? I'm not doing it, and what are you going to do about it? Your illness is a bottomless pit. You should be grateful I'm even paying for your treatment. Miles turned his head and saw the second son. Pointing at him, Miles said, "You promised me back then. You said when he grew up, you'd give me his kidney. Why are you going back on your word?" He looked at the second son, his gaze utterly cruel. "Do you really think they love you? You were born to be my blood bag." Afraid he would say more, Jake grabbed him by the collar and started a fight. Miles had been sick for so many years and was no match for him. He was quickly knocked to the ground. With their relationship now completely broken, Jake had no desire to look after him anymore. Seeing it as a chance to save several $1,000s a month, he didn't think twice before kicking him out. Miles ended up on the streets with barely any money to his name. To make matters worse, his next dialysis session was due soon, and he had no way to pay for it. Without dialysis, his health deteriorated rapidly. Facing his own impending death, he was filled with a profound sense of bitterness and resentment. So he used the last of his money to buy a knife, in the dead of night. Once everyone was asleep, he sneaked back home. He stood by Jake's bedside and plunged the knife into his side. Jake cried out in pain, and Miles immediately stabbed him again. Before he came, he had specifically watched an anatomy video. He knew this spot was the kidney. He wanted that kidney, and nothing else. Gina was sleeping beside him, and she didn't escape the same fate. Both were stabbed to death. By the time the police arrived, blood was everywhere. Miles was holding a kidney in his hand. Wearing a twisted, maniacal grin, Miles was already ill, and not long after being taken into custody, he died in prison. My mother aged a dozen years overnight. Her hair turned completely white. After handling the funerals for several people, she took my second brother and returned to our hometown. I heard that after the second brother got into university, his first act was to turn his back on his roots and cut all ties with my mother. "You all treated me like a resource to be drained. Any success I have now is due to my own hard work. What does it have to do with you?" Under the weight of repeated blows, my mother could bear no more and passed away quietly one night. I only learned about it from the news. After all, they had long since ceased to be a part of my life. My life is still long, and the future holds much promise. Story 2. At the critical moment of college application submission, Lin Xiaoxiao, the impoverished student my father sponsors, accidentally tore my application form in half right in front of him. That form held the key to my admission into the nation's top aviation academy, my one and only dream, now reduced to worthless scraps. There was no chance to redo it before the admissions officers. With a dramatic thud, she dropped to her knees before my father, sobbing, "Sis, I just wanted to check for mistakes. The paper back home isn't this flimsy. I didn't mean to, I swear." My father slapped me across the face in rage. "She's already on her knees begging you. What more do you want? It's just a school. How can you be so heartless?" Later, I failed the exams and died from stress-induced cardiac arrest while studying at my desk during retake year. Meanwhile, Lin Xiaoxiao used my father's money to study abroad, becoming the more accomplished than their own daughter role model praised by relatives. When I opened my eyes again, I'd returned to the moment her hand was reaching toward my college preference form. "Sis, let me check if you made any mistakes on the form." "Okay." A hand reached over, tentative and ingratiating. My eyes flew open, heart hammering, the cold sweat on my back instantly soaking through my school uniform. Before me lay the familiar provincial admissions office, its air thick with the musty scent of old paper and stale sweat. Mr. Wang from the admissions office was bent over paperwork, the sunlight glaring off his thinning hair. Before me lay the application card that would determine my future glory or disgrace. That line 4 Beihua Aviation Flight Academy, the nation's top institution, represented 3 years of blood, sweat, and sleepless nights chasing my dream. The hand reaching out belonged to Lin Xiaoxiao, the impoverished student my father Su Jiangwo had sponsored. 1. She gazed at me timidly with eyes as clear as spring water. Yet I knew beneath that purity lurked the filthiest mire capable of swallowing everything whole. In my past life, this very hand had accidentally torn my college application form in half, right at the moment I was joyfully preparing to submit it. Worthless scraps, my dreams, my future, reduced instantly to worthless scraps of paper. I completely lost it and lunged forward to grab her, but with a loud thud, she dropped straight to her knees in front of my father. "Uncle, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Paper back in the countryside isn't this fragile. I didn't know city paper tears so easily. I just wanted to help check it for my sister." She wept with pearly tears streaming down her face, a sight that would melt any heart. My father, Su Jiangwo, my biological father, was trembling with rage. He stormed over and, instead of confronting Lin Xiaoxiao kneeling on the ground, put all his strength into a vicious slap across my face. The sharp crack of that blow still echoes in my ears to this day. "She's literally on her knees begging you. What more do you want? It's just a school. Would it kill you to try again next year? How can you be so heartless? You can't even tolerate your own sister who cares about you." Later, I failed the entrance exam. Endless arguments and mounting pressure drove me to repeat my senior year. But my spirit had already shattered after that slap across the face. During my 4th senior year, I collapsed dead at my study desk late at night, still clutching the pen that couldn't write the answers. Meanwhile, Lin Xiaoxiao used my father's money to study abroad in style, returning with gilded credentials to become the golden child all relatives praised as more accomplished than Sun Yan, his actual daughter, at my own funeral. My father even had the audacity to put his arm around Lin Xiaoxiao's shoulders and declare in front of everyone, "From now on, Xiaoxiao will be my real daughter." How utterly cruel. Before the endless hatred and chilling sense of death could fade, I opened my eyes once more. I'd returned to the very beginning of this tragedy. Lin Xiaoxiao's hand hovered barely 5 centimeters away from my college preference form. Her fingertips were already slightly curled, poised to strike. I looked at her and smiled. Just before her fingers could touch the form, I flicked my wrist. The pen in my hand accidentally slipped and flew out. Plop. A glaring blob of blue-black ink exploded into an ugly splotch beside the name field on my application form. I let out a startled yelp. As if genuinely frightened, Lin Xiaoxiao's hand froze midair, her expression shifting from rehearsed alarm to genuine bewilderment. The plan had gone awry. I quickly snatched back the application form, looking up at her with a shaken, tear-choked voice. "Xiaoxiao, why'd you suddenly reach out like that? You made me drop my pen." My sudden outburst successfully drew everyone's attention in the office. Mr. Wang, who had been working with his head down, looked up with a frown. The other waiting parents and students all turned to stare at us in unison. Slap. Lin Xiaoxiao's face instantly went pale. Her specialty was playing the innocent, victimized damsel in front of crowds, but this time I stole the role right from under her nose. I didn't, she stammered, her eyes welling up with those practice tears. "Sis, I just wanted to help you check. What are you looking at? Teacher Wang is right here. If there's any mistake in my form, she'll point it out. Since when did I need your help checking?" I cut her off, my voice laced with just the right mix of wounded pride and lingering fear. My hands trembled as I clutched the ink-stained application card, holding it like some priceless artifact. "This is the most important thing in my life. What if you'd touched it just now and torn it by accident? 3 years of grinding for the provincial top score, my pilot's dream. I was this close, just this close." As I spoke, tears began streaming down my face. This time, it was both an act and the truth. These were genuine tears for my past self who died so tragically. The office atmosphere grew subtly tense. The crowd's gaze toward Lin Xiaoxiao began carrying traces of scrutiny and suspicion, a plainly dressed girl daring to tamper with the top scorer's college application. Now that's a story waiting to be told. Lin Xiaoxiao clearly sensed those piercing stares. Her body trembled slightly, lips quivering without uttering a word. Just then, the office door burst open with a crash. "Nian Nian, what's taking you so long? Have you finished filling it out or not?" My father, Su Jiangwo, stormed into the room with impatient strides. His eyes immediately landed on the ink-stained college preference form in my hand, and on Lin Xiaoxiao beside me, her eyes red-rimmed and swaying unsteadily. His expression darkened instantly. "Sun Yan, you're bullying Xiaoxiao again." He didn't even ask what happened before convicting me outright. Lin Xiaoxiao seemed to find her pillar of support, immediately scurrying to my father's side while clutching his sleeve, tears streaming down like broken strings of pearls. "Uncle, it's not sister's fault. I shouldn't have reached out." The way she put that, it was truly a work of art. She pretended to take the blame, but every word actually solidified my guilt. My dad's anger was completely ignited. He pointed at my nose, and in front of the entire office, he yelled, "Sun Yan, how have I taught you? Xiaoxiao is your younger sister. You should be considerate of her. She was trying to help you. What kind of attitude is this? Look what you've done to her. See how heartbroken she is." I stared coldly at him. This man I'd called father for 18 years. My heart had died in my past life. In this one, not even a ripple of emotion remained. Holding up my application form, I calmly said to Teacher Wang, "I apologize. The form got stained, though the key information is intact. For safety's sake, may I request a backup form to resubmit?" Mr. Wang adjusted his glasses and nodded. "All right. Those are the rules, but hurry up, the deadline's almost here." As he spoke, he pulled out a brand new application form from the drawer. My father froze. He probably never expected me to stay calm instead of throwing our usual screaming match. When Lin Xiaoxiao saw the new volunteer card, a flicker of barely perceptible panic and resentment flashed in her eyes. The situation she had worked so hard to create was easily defused by me. No, how can it be considered defused? The real show has just begun. "Ah, what do you mean fill it out again?" Su Jiangwo snatched the new preference form Teacher Wang handed me and slammed it onto the desk. "Sun Yan, you will apologize to Xiaoxiao today. That's final." His booming voice made the entire office vibrate. Teacher Wang's frown deepened, his face clearly displeased. "Please remain quiet, parent. Don't disrupt the other students. She's my daughter. How I raise her is none of your business." Su Jiangwo snapped back unreasonably. He turned his head, glaring at me like an enraged bull. "Apologize. No." Immediately, I looked at him and suddenly found it ridiculous. In my past life, This was how he kept forcing me to bow down to that scheming woman, time and time again. Every single time, I'd plead and argue with him through tears. All it earned me was harsher beatings and deeper disappointment. He would always, without fail, believe Lin Xiaoxiao's crocodile tears. I took a deep breath and met his fury with steady eyes. Dad, I did nothing wrong. Why should I apologize? You, Su Jiangwo's fingers trembled with rage. Seeing this, Lin Xiaoxiao immediately launched into her performance again. She gently tugged at Su Jiangwo's sleeve and said in a tearful, mosquito-like whisper, Uncle, let it go. It's all my fault, not sister's. Let's just fill out the applications. We shouldn't hold sister back from her future. She's dreamed of being a pilot for so many years. She shouldn't have brought that up, at the mention of this. Su Jiangwo's temper flared up instantly. A pilot? What kind of career is that for a girl? You've got no sense of propriety. It was as if he'd finally found an outlet, directing all his resentment straight at me. I told you ages ago to study education and become a teacher, settle down and marry well, but you just wouldn't listen, still making a fuss over such trivial matters and bullying Xiaoxiao. You're clearly spoiled rotten by me, absolutely lawless. I listened in silence without uttering a word. I've heard these same lectures since forever. My ears are practically callous from them. He'll always believe his plans are perfect, while my dreams mean nothing in his eyes. To him, my silence spoke volumes of defiance. He was utterly enraged. Before everyone's eyes, he raised his hand. I instinctively shut my eyes. The familiar slap finally came, crisp and sharp. It felt even heavier than in my past life. My cheek burned with pain as a ringing filled my ears. The entire office instantly fell into dead silence. Everyone was stunned by the scene. Teacher Wang shot to his feet, pointing at Su Jiangwo, too furious to speak. You, how could you hit a child? But Su Jiangwo seemed to be seeing red, completely ignoring him. He pointed at my nose, enunciating each word clearly. Sun Yan, I'm telling you this right now. If you still consider me your father, then you'll apologize honestly and change that college application. If you dare talk back to me again, don't expect another penny from me. I slowly opened my eyes, tasting blood in my mouth. I didn't cry or make a scene. I just turned my head slowly to look at Lin Xiaoxiao, who was hiding behind my father with a smug smile curling at her lips. She thought she had won. Just like in our past life, she believed she'd crushed me once again. Meeting her gaze, I smiled back. Then, before everyone's eyes, I picked up the fresh backup application form and that pen from the table. I didn't even glance at Beihua Aviation Flight Academy again. Instead, I carefully and deliberately wrote 5 characters in the first choice school field, Jiangqing Vocational Technical College, the worst third-rate vocational school in the city. With absolutely no future prospects, after finishing writing, I set down the pen, looked up, and met Su Jiangwo's gaze. Dad, is this what you wanted? My voice was soft, calm, completely devoid of emotion. Su Jiangwo froze. Lin Xiaoxiao froze in shock. Even the furious teacher Wang standing nearby was stunned. They probably expected me to make a scene or put up a desperate fight. Nobody anticipated I'd be this decisive. So decisive it felt like wielding a blade to sever one's own future with bare hands. A flicker of triumph crossed Su Jiangwo's face, but what dominated was the smug certainty of I knew you'd yield. TCH, should have done this sooner, he sneered, finally satisfied. As for Lin Xiaoxiao, the gloating in her eyes became unmistakable, spilling over like an overfilled cup. She leaned close to Su Jiangwo's ear and whispered, Uncle, sister is so obedient. Jiangqing Vocational School is actually quite good. It's close to home, so we can keep her company every day from now on. My father beamed with delight at her words and gave her an approving pat on the shoulder. Our Xiaoxiao is always the thoughtful one. Watching their sickening display of father-daughter affection made my stomach churn. I picked up that college preference form that had ruined 2 lifetimes for me, and calmly handed it to Mr. Wang. Teacher, I appreciate your help, Mr. Juan looked at me, his eyes filled with complicated emotions and pity. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but it all dissolved into a sigh. He took the application form and stamped it with the official seal of approval, and just like that, everything was settled. Stepping out of the admissions office, the glaring sunlight made my eyes water. Su Jiangwo was in such high spirits that he unexpectedly said, Come on, kids. Let's go celebrate with a fancy dinner now that you've submitted your college applications. Lin Xiaoxiao chirped cheerfully. Thank you, Uncle. Then she turned and came to my side, whispering in a voice meant only for us. Sis, don't be sad. Even if your dream is gone, I'll fly higher and farther for you from now on. Just stay in this small town and watch me closely. Her voice was sweet yet venomous, like a hissing serpent. Gazing at her flawless face, I suddenly reached out to smooth her wind-tousled bangs. My touch was feather-light. I beamed at her with radiant joy. Well then, best of luck to you, dear sister. Lin Xiaoxiao was taken aback by my reaction. She probably never expected I'd still be smiling. Why shouldn't I laugh? Destroying my own application form with my own hands really stings, but compared to having it torn apart by others in my past life, at least this time it was my choice. Trading one application form to make both of them lower their guard completely, trading a shattered flying dream for a chance to ruin them completely. That's a deal worth making. I returned home to an empty, chilling silence. My mother Lihui sat on the couch, cradling a glass of water with distant eyes. She started like a startled bird when she saw us return, hastily rising to her feet. Nian Nian, have you filled out your college preferences? Her voice was barely above a whisper, laced with cautious hesitation. Before I could respond, Su Jiangwo cut in with smug satisfaction. It's done. I made her apply to Jiangqing Vocational School, right here in town. She'll settle down properly instead of chasing pipe dreams. My mother's face turned deathly pale in an instant. What? Vocational school? Jiangwo, how could you? Why shouldn't I? I'm her father. Su Jiangwo threw his jacket onto the couch, cutting her off with self-righteous indignation. Did you see how she acted at the admissions office today? She's completely out of control. If I don't discipline her now, who knows what she'll do next? Lin Xiaoxiao immediately stepped forward with understanding, gently supporting my mother's arm. Auntie, please don't be angry. My sister was just trying to help me. It's all my fault. She hung her head low, shoulders trembling slightly, looking on the verge of tears. My mother looked at her, then at me. Her lips quivered. But in the end she said nothing, only the light in her eyes completely faded away. In my past life, I always thought my mother was weak. Faced with my father's dominance, she would always retreat, never able to protect me. It wasn't until later that I understood there was more to her weakness than met the eye. Su Jiangwo clearly relished my mother's submission. Clearing his throat, he announced his second decision of the day. One more thing. Xiaoxiao has been living alone in a rented place. It's both tough and unsafe. Starting today, she'll be moving in with us. Perfect timing. She can keep Nian Nian company, and maybe Nian Nian could learn a thing or two from Xiaoxiao about responsibility and gratitude. This decision didn't come as a surprise to me. Just like in my previous life, that's how Lin Xiaoxiao gradually invaded my home and took over my life. My mother turned even paler, pleading with Su Jiangwo, but we don't have any spare rooms left. Nonsense. Su Jiangwo waved his hand dismissively toward my bedroom. Nian Nian's room is spacious and sunny, isn't it? Let Xiaoxiao move in there. As for Su Nian, he shot me a disdainful glance. Let her stay in that storage room. She's supposed to be experiencing hardship anyway. What's the point of wasting a good room on her? The storage room, dark, damp, windowless, barely 5 square meters. He was going to banish his own flesh and blood to live in a storage room, and then what happened? No, my mom finally exploded, screaming, Su Jiangwo, you can't do this. That's Nian Nian's room. Why can't I? I run this house. Su Jiangwo was enraged by my mom's defiance, his face contorting. Li Hui, I'm warning you, don't push your luck. My mom flinched at his roar, instinctively taking a step back. Lin Xiaoxiao quickly intervened, tugging at Su Jiangwo's arm. Uncle, please don't be like this. Auntie just cares about sister. Maybe I should take the storage room instead. Any place is fine for me. Her self-sacrificing words only made Su Jiangwo feel more protective of her. Absolutely not. A good girl like you shouldn't live in such a place. He turned to glare at me, issuing an ultimatum. Su Nian, I'll count to 3, move your things out yourself, or I'll throw them out for you. I looked at him without saying a word. I simply turned away in silence and walked into my room. The room I'd lived in for 18 years, my favorite airplane posters still hung on the walls, and the shelves were crammed with aviation magazines. On the desk sits the airplane model I built with my own hands. This place holds all my dreams and youthful memories. Now, they'll all belong to someone else. I didn't bother packing the books or models, just opened the wardrobe, grabbed some clean clothes, and stuffed them into my backpack. Then I walked out without looking back. As I passed the living room, Lin Xiaoxiao was holding my father's arm, whispering something softly. My father's face showed unprecedented tenderness and adoration. At that moment, it almost felt like they were the real father and daughter, yet I'm just an unwelcome intruder who's taken someone else's place. I walked to the storage room door and pulled it open. A musty smell hit me in the face. The space was crammed with all sorts of clutter, leaving only a small clearing. I tossed my backpack to the ground without hesitation and stepped inside. The moment the door closed, all outside noise was cut off, only darkness and silence remained in the world. Leaning against the cold wall, I slowly slid down to sit. I didn't cry, because I knew from that day onward, tears were the most useless thing. What I must do is endure, and wait. I'll meticulously record every ounce of pain and humiliation they've inflicted upon me. Then one day, I'll repay them 100-fold, with interest. My phone vibrated. A text from the bank. Dear customer, your savings card account ending in XXXX spent 5 Chinese yuan 00000 on XX. Your current balance is 12 Chinese yuan 50. Su Jiangwo is a man of his word. He really did block all my cards, leaving me with only $12.50. He wants me to experience the hardships of life. Fine by me, then I'll go experience it myself. We'll see who breaks first, me from the hardships or him from his own devotion and kindness backfiring. I woke up starving the next morning. Slap. The storage room was stuffy and sweltering, my body drenched in sweat, throat parched like it was on fire. I stepped out of the storage room to find the living room completely empty. An elegant breakfast was laid out on the dining table, milk, sandwiches, and a small plate of fruit. There were 2 servings. One portion belonged to Su Jiangwo, the other portion naturally belonged to his current darling daughter, Lin Xiaoxiao. I walked to the kitchen and opened the fridge, completely empty. Not even a bottle of water left for me. I let out a cold laugh and shut the fridge door. Su Jiangwo, you've really outdone yourself this time. I slung my nearly empty backpack over my shoulder and walked out of this so-called home. 12.50, that was everything I owned. I spent 2 yuan on 2 steamed buns and 50 cents on a bottle of water. After wolfing them down, I finally felt alive again. I need to find a job immediately, or I won't even have dinner tonight. I wandered aimlessly down the street, scanning the help wanted signs in shop windows. Waitress wanted, must have pleasant appearance and good demeanor, cashier position, computer proficiency required. I don't seem to fit any of these. Fresh out of high school, all I know is taking tests. I've got nothing else to offer. Eventually, I spotted a rundown diner tucked away in a back alley. The glass door had 2 sloppily painted red characters, help wanted. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The shop was greasy, filled with a nauseating mix of heavy cooking fumes and the stench of spoiled food. A plump middle-aged woman in a greasy apron sat by the entrance cracking sunflower seeds. She lifted her eyelids and gave me a lazy once-over. What do you want? Hello, I saw you're hiring. I tried to sound as sincere as possible. Dishwasher position, 100 a day, includes 1 meal. You in? She spat out a melon seed shell. Getting straight to the point, I'm in. I answered without hesitation, and just like that, I became a dishwasher at Lao Wang's home-style cuisine. My job was to stand behind a greasy sink, endlessly washing mountains of dishes. The detergent burned my hands red, making them peel with an itchy, stinging pain. The kitchen fumes left me dizzy and groggy all day, like I was half asleep. Every day, I work from noon until 10 p.m., without a break. When we close up, the boss's wife would casually toss me some leftovers from customers' plates. That's what passes for my dinner. Sometimes it's half a bowl of cold rice, other times just a few wilted vegetables. This is the human suffering Su Jiangwo wanted me to experience. And yes, it was truly tough, so tough that every night when I got back to that moldy storage room, I was too exhausted to even lift a finger. But I didn't complain, and I didn't cry. Every night, I take up my phone and open that password-protected memo, carefully writing down every bit of hardship I endured that day. August 10th, first day at work, washed dishes for 10 hours straight, hands completely raw. Dinner was leftover fried rice from customers. August 11th, got yelled at by the boss's wife for breaking a plate, docked 20 yuan from my pay. On August 12th, Lin Xiaoxiao sent me a picture. It was a selfie. In the photo, Lin Xiaoxiao was wearing a brand new designer dress, standing in front of a mirror at a high-end mall. The tag was still on the dress, clearly showing the price, 4,999 yuan. She also added a caption. Xiao Xiao, sis, how are you doing abroad? Uncle bought me a new dress. He said when I start school overseas, I should dress properly to uphold our Chinese dignity. Staring at that dress, a memory suddenly surfaced. It was the exact dress I'd begged my dad for, but he refused, saying it was too expensive. Yet no, he bought it for Lin Xiaoxiao without hesitation. I turned off my phone, buried my face in my knees, and laughed silently. Su Jiangwo, Lin Xiaoxiao. Every ounce of suffering you inflict on me now, I'll make you repay in blood someday. I endured this living hell for a full month, until the vocational school in Jiangqing reopened. On the first day of school, neither Su Jiangwo nor my mother showed up. There I was, carrying that worn-out backpack on the bus, arriving at the school whose name I'd never even heard in my previous life. The school was tiny and dilapidated, with a pothole-riddled playground and peeling paint on the classroom buildings. Students milling about mostly sported rainbow-colored hair, cigarettes dangling from their mouths with a couldn't-care-less attitude. This place felt like a different universe compared to my dream university and my peers who got into Tsinghua or Peking. I was assigned to a major called Hotel Management. The dorm room was for 8 people, and it was filthy and messy. My roommates looked at me, this outsider with a suitcase, dressed plainly, and looking like a bookworm, with undisguised disdain and mockery in their eyes. Well, look what the cat dragged in, newbie, ha, judging by your country bumpkin luck. Which backwater did you crawl out of? We don't take bookworms here. I ignored them, quietly found my bunk, and started making the bed. Just then, a commotion erupted at the dormitory entrance. A familiar, grating voice rang out, "Sis, I came to see you." There stood Lin Xiaoxiao at the dorm entrance, dressed like a princess in that $700 designer dress with the latest Chanel bag draped over her arm, and right behind her was my father, Su Jiangwo. His arms were loaded with bags of premium snacks and fruits, beaming with unmistakable pride. Their arrival was like a beam of light, instantly illuminating the shabby dormitory. yet it also felt like a needle piercing straight through my heart. Every roommate's gaze was drawn to them. Su Jingwo cleared his throat and announced loudly to the entire dorm in a boastful tone, "Hello everyone, I'm Sunyen's father. We'd really appreciate your kindness toward our Sunyen in the future." Then he shifted the conversation, pointing at Lin Xiaoxiao beside him with visible pride as he said, "This is our other daughter, Lin Xiaoxiao. She'll be studying in the UK very soon. Unlike some people who can't get their act together and are stuck in this dump," he said while shooting me a contemptuous sidelong glance. At that moment, the entire dorm fell dead silent. All eyes were fixed on me. There were looks of pity, sneers, and outright schadenfreude. I'd become the biggest laughingstock in this dorm. No, in the entire school. I stood frozen, clutching the half-tucked bedsheet in my hands. I stared at Su Jingwo's smug face and Lin Xiaoxiao's venomous eyes, slowly. Ever so slowly, my fists clenched tight, my nails dug deep into my palms, the pain sharp and stinging. But what was this physical pain compared to the searing hatred in my heart? "Uncle, please don't speak about my sister that way." Lin Xiaoxiao launched into her usual phony act again, clinging to Su Jingwo's arm with sickeningly sweet coquetry. "Big sister just has her own way of thinking, actually. Jianqing Vocational School isn't so bad. At least you'll learn a trade and won't starve to death someday." Her words pretended to defend me while secretly grinding me into the dirt. She enunciated "starve to death" with particular clarity. The roommates burst into undisguised snickers. Su Jingwo couldn't stop singing her praises after hearing her words. "Sounds good. Look how well our Xiaoxiao speaks. Sunyen, if you had half her sense, I wouldn't have to worry about you so much." As he spoke, he piled all the bags he was carrying onto Lin Xiaoxiao's desk. That desk used to be the cleanest in the dorm, waiting for its owner to arrive. Now it's completely covered with expensive imported snacks and fruits. "These are all for you, Xiaoxiao," Su Jingwo said affectionately. "Share them with your new dorm mates. Consider it my early farewell gift for you." He didn't seem to realize this was my dorm, and these were my roommates. In his eyes, I might as well have been invisible. Lin Xiaoxiao responded sweetly, "Thank you, uncle, you're so kind to me." Then she picked up a bunch of glistening imported grapes and walked over to one of my roommates. That roommate happened to be the girl with smoky eye makeup and a nose ring who'd previously led the mockery against me. "Hi there, I'm Lin Xiaoxiao. Here, have this." Xiaoxiao beamed with innocent delight. The girl with smoky eye makeup paused briefly before breaking into a smile and accepting the grapes. "Hey, I'm Li Shan. So you're Sunyen's little sister. You're way prettier than your sister, no contest. Seriously, rich, gorgeous, and studying in the UK, total life goals," chimed in another roommate, eyes sparkling with envy. "Unlike some people who flaunt their provincial top scorer title, yet end up in this third-rate college, who knows if they cheated on exams and got busted before being exiled here." Their gossiping voices were just loud enough for me to hear every word crystal clear. Lin Xiaoxiao stood among them like a princess being fawned over by her entourage. While handing out snacks to everyone, she accidentally let slip some embarrassing stories about me. "Oh come on, don't talk about my sister like that. She's actually really smart, just a bit strong-willed. Dad wanted her to go to teacher's college, but she insisted on becoming a pilot of all things, so dangerous for a girl. She even had a huge fight with Dad at the admissions office. And in a fit of anger just applied here, 3, with just a few words, she painted me as some ungrateful, rebellious, impulsive fool. She positioned herself as the perfect younger sister, kind, sensible, always putting her elder sister first." Su Jingwo listened nearby, a satisfied smile spreading across his face. This was exactly the outcome he'd wanted. He wanted the whole world to know what an exceptional adopted daughter he had, and what a disgrace his biological daughter turned out to be. He's using my shortcomings to highlight Lin Xiaoxiao's perfection. Standing by my bed, I watched coldly as my father and his perfect daughter starred in this farce together. My heart was as still as stagnant water. Humiliation. From the moment of my rebirth, I've locked these emotions away in the deepest recesses of my heart. Now, they serve only as fuel for my vengeance. The farce lasted about half an hour. Su Jingwo and Lin Xiaoxiao departed contentedly amidst a chorus of flattery and adulation. After they left, the dorm room took on an even creepier atmosphere. The smoky-eyed girl named Li Shan walked up to me while eating grapes, sizing me up with a disdainful look. "Hey, provincial top scorer." She spat a grape peel with perfect accuracy onto my freshly made bed. "Your dad's really something else. He treats an outsider better than his own kid. Are you actually adopted?" I looked up, staring at her silently. "Take your trash and get out." My voice was icy. Li Shan paused for a moment, then burst into exaggerated laughter as if she'd heard the funniest joke in the world. "Ha, did I hear that right? You dare speak to me like that?" Her roommates behind her also gathered around, each with a malicious grin on their faces. "Shanjia, this newbie seems a bit out of it. She needs to learn the rules of this dorm." Li Shan tossed the grapes in her hand onto the table. crossed her arms, and stepped toward me. So you're Sun Yan, let me make this clear. In this dorm, Li Shan, call the shots. From now on, you're solely responsible for keeping this place clean, fetching water and buying meals for us daily. That's your job now. If you dare say no, she jabbed her finger hard into my shoulder, I'll make sure you won't last a single day in this school. I stared at her arrogant face and the lackeys swaggering behind her like foxes borrowing a tiger's fierceness. This was my college life. This was the gift Su Jiangwo and Lin Xiaoxiao had given me. Slowly lowering my gaze, I stared at that disgusting gray peel on the bedsheet. Then I reached out and pinched it between my fingers. Just as Li Shan thought I'd surrendered, her face breaking into a smug grin, my hand shot up suddenly. With lightning speed, I shoved that soggy, slimy grape skin right into her mouth. Li Shan's eyes widened like saucers. Everyone was stunned. Nobody expected that a meek, bookish pushover like me would dare to pull such a shocking stunt. So you enjoy littering, do you? I looked straight at her and enunciated each word with deliberate clarity. Then you can eat it yourself. Li Shan's face turned beet red. With a retching ugh, she spat out the grape skin in her mouth, then charged at me like a rabid lioness, screaming, Sun Yan, I'll fucking kill you. Her long, sharp nails, painted black like venomous claws, came slashing straight at my face. The instant before her nails could pierce my skin, I jerked my knee up with every ounce of strength and rammed it into her gut. Arg! Li Shan let out a blood-curdling scream, curling up like a boiled shrimp before collapsing to the ground. Her lackeys stood frozen in shock behind her, momentarily forgetting to intervene. I looked down coldly at Li Shan writhing on the ground. Working in the restaurant kitchen for over a month had been grueling, but it built real muscle. That's more than enough to deal with this paper tiger, all bark and no bite. Who else wants me to clean their room, fetch water, or buy meals for them? I scanned the remaining girls in the dorm room. They all took a step back in fear under my glare, shaking their heads frantically. I averted my gaze and looked back at Li Shan on the ground. Remember, I'm not here to make friends, much less play babysitter. You don't mess with me, we won't have problems. If anyone dares to throw trash on my bed again. I paused, bent down, and whispered into her ear in a voice only the two of us could hear. Next time, who knows what'll be shoved into your mouth. With that, I straightened up without another glance at her and turned to continue making my bed. Behind me came Li Shan's muffled groans of pain and the terrified breathing of the others. I knew from that day onward, the word bullying would never darken my college life again, but I also knew my real troubles were just beginning. Su Jiangwo and Lin Xiaoxiao would never let me off that easily. Sure enough, within days, I started noticing something wasn't right. My mom, Li Hui, called me on the phone. Her voice sounded incredibly tired and slurred, like she'd just woken up. Nian Nian, are you doing okay at school? I'm fine, Mom. How about you? Are you feeling unwell? I immediately picked up on her unusual tone. I'm fine, just feeling constantly exhausted lately, like I can't get enough sleep. Mom, have you been taking any medication recently? I asked cautiously. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. Your father said I've been a bit neurasthenic. He got me some sedatives that supposedly help with sleep. Sedatives. My heart sank like a stone. In my past life, my mother also started becoming increasingly drowsy and forgetful around this time. She became completely listless, losing interest in everything. At the time, I just thought she was overly distraught because of what happened with me. It wasn't until Su Jiangwo had her committed to a mental hospital that I belatedly realized something was terribly wrong, but by then, it was too late for everything in this life. I absolutely cannot let that tragedy repeat itself, Mom. Listen to me, no matter what medicine Dad gives you, don't take it, pretend to swallow it, then secretly spit it out. Do you hear me? My voice trembled with urgency. Nian Nian, what's wrong? Your dad, don't ask why, just do as I say. Mom, I'm begging you. I had no idea if my words had gotten through to Mom. After hanging up, I felt restless the entire day. I had to find a way back home to figure out what kind of medicine Su Jiangwo was giving my mom, but I was completely broke. The round-trip fare from school to my so-called home would cost me $10. I can barely afford meals, let alone spare any extra money. The only solution is to find a part-time job. School life turned out to be much tougher than I'd imagined, though no one dares to bully me openly now. The isolation and exclusion never stop. I became the celebrity of my entire class, even the whole school. The freak who turned down being the provincial top scorer to attend a third-rate college. The castaway even his own father publicly humiliated. I had no friends, always keeping to myself. After class every day, I'd work part-time at restaurants near campus, waiting tables, washing dishes, handing out flyers. I took any job that paid. I never asked Su Jiangwo for another dime of living expenses. I barely scraped by with my hard-earned money, managing to secretly save a few dozen bucks over the weekend. I finally saved enough for the trip back home. I boarded the bus. Returning to that suffocating place that choked my soul, the house fell silent as I turned the key in the lock. Neither Su Jiangwo nor Lin Xiaoxiao were around, only my mother remained, lying motionless on the couch in deep sleep. Her face was deathly pale, lips completely bloodless, she looked utterly lifeless. I walked over and gave her a gentle nudge. Mom, Mom, she didn't respond at all. My heart skipped a beat as I reached to check her breathing. Thank goodness, she was still breathing. It's just too heavy. I walked into the kitchen and started rummaging through the trash. Soon enough, I found an empty pill bottle. It had no label, one of those plain white plastic bottles hospitals use for repackaged medication. A few white pills remained inside. I poured the pills into my palm, snapped a photo with my phone, and searched online. When the search results appeared, my blood ran cold. Clozapine, a potent antipsychotic medication, primarily used to treat schizophrenia. Side effects: drowsiness, fatigue, slowed thinking, memory impairment. Prolonged use may cause irreversible brain damage. Su Jiangwo, he's been feeding this drug to my mother all along. I laughed. This wasn't about calming her nerves. He wanted to completely destroy her. A bone-chilling cold shot up from my feet to the crown of my head. My hand trembled so violently I could barely hold the phone. Why would he do this? Just because my mother talked back to him a few times? Or is there some deeper, more terrifying reason behind this? I didn't dare to think further. All I knew was that I had to get my mother out of here immediately. But where could I possibly take her? I can't even support myself. Slumped on the icy floor, I felt bone-deep helplessness and despair for the first time. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I sniffled, trying to steady my voice before answering the call. Hello, Miss Sun Yan. Came an aged yet authoritative male voice through the receiver. Speaking. I'm your grandfather, Li Zhenhua. Grandfather, Li Zhenhua. That name struck through my hazy memories like lightning. Of course I know who Li Zhenhua is. He's a renowned business tycoon in the capital, a true patriarch of high society. He's also the biological father of my mother, Li Hui. But ever since I can remember, I've never actually met him. None for me. The only time I heard my dad Su Jiangwo mention it was when he was drunk, dripping with contempt. Said my grandfather looked down on him as some poor nobody back then, dead set against Mom marrying him. In the end, Mom cut ties with her family for his sake and followed him without hesitation to this backwater town called Jiangqing. So why, after all these years, would Grandpa suddenly call me out of the blue? Miss Sun Yan, the voice on the phone said tonelessly, I've received what you sent, something I sent. I froze momentarily before the realization hit me. After being reborn, on the night before visiting the admissions office, I'd anonymously mailed a letter to my grandfather's company address using memories from my past life. In the letter, I kept it brief, just detailing how my father Su Jiangwo had mistreated my mother all these years, oppressed me, and how I was being forced to abandon my college aspirations. At the time, I was just clutching at straws, giving it a shot out of sheer desperation. I never actually expected this legendary grandfather of mine to even acknowledge me. To my surprise, he not only received the letter but personally called me back. My child, you and your mother have suffered all these years. Grandfather's voice carried a tinge of weariness and remorse. Tears welled up in my eyes instantly. 18 years have passed. That was the first time I'd ever heard a family member say, you've been wronged. I bit my lip hard, trying to keep myself from crying out loud. You mentioned in your letter that your father forced you to apply to a vocational college. Yes, I said, trying to compose myself. Nonsense. Grandfather's voice rose sharply with unquestionable authority. How could anyone from the Li family attend such a third-rate institution? Here's what we'll do. You'll withdraw from that school immediately. I've already arranged your enrollment at a British boarding school. You'll be leaving next month. Study abroad. In my previous life, it was Lin Xiaoxiao who got to study overseas. This lifetime, this opportunity, it actually fell into my hands. In the past, I would have been overjoyed, but now, I glanced at my mother lying unconscious on the couch, then at the lethal bottle in my hand. I can't leave, at least, not now, Grandpa. Thank you, but I can't go abroad, I said, taking a deep breath as I made my decision. After a long pause, Grandpa finally spoke slowly, his voice tinged with confusion. Why, didn't you want to be a pilot? I've arranged for you to attend the best aviation academy in the UK. Because of my mom, I told Grandpa every single detail about how Su Jiangwo drugged my mother. I could clearly hear Grandpa's breathing growing heavier on the other end of the line. As I spoke the final word, a loud crash came through the phone like something had been violently thrown to the ground. Bastard, that absolute bastard. Grandfather's voice turned hoarse with barely contained rage. I must have been blind. How could I ever let Hui Hui marry such a heartless monster? Nian Nian, don't be afraid. Grandpa will handle this. Right now, don't do anything. Protect yourself, and protect your mother too. The most important thing is to find a way to get evidence of that bastard's crimes. With solid evidence, I can make sure he never sees daylight again. As I hung up the phone, I felt an overwhelming surge of strength coursing through me. I'm not fighting this battle alone anymore. I have powerful backing now, backing strong enough to stand against Su Jiangwo. I wiped away my tears and stood up again. The first step was to replace my mother's medication. I carefully stored away the bottle of clozapine, then used my hard-earned savings to buy an identical-looking bottle of vitamin tablets from the pharmacy back home. Before Su Jiangwo returned, I transferred the vitamin tablets into that little white medicine bottle and put it back exactly where it belonged. With everything done, I slipped away quietly. I didn't alert a soul. From that day on, I waged a secret war. By day, I attended classes and waited tables at a diner. At night, I'd return to that dim storage room and unpack my covert gear, a second-hand recorder and pinhole camera. I began secretly recording every conversation between Su Jiangwo and my mother, recording how he used that gentle tone to coax my mother into taking those sedatives, recording how he'd curse at her and belittle her when she was in a dazed state. What truly sent chills down my spine was what gradually came to light. Su Jiangwo, I think he's genuinely ill, and seriously ill at that. One night, through a hidden pinhole camera in the living room, I witnessed something utterly bizarre. Late at night, the living room was pitch black. Su Jiangwo stepped out of the room alone. Instead of turning on the light, he lit a white candle. Then he took out a photo frame from a locked drawer. Inside the frame was a young woman in a white dress. The girl smiled sweetly, her eyes and brows bearing an uncanny resemblance to Lin Xiaoxiao. Su Jiangwo placed the photo frame on the table, then laid out several offerings, a plate of apples and another of pastries. He murmured prayers before the frame as if paying homage to the departed. Shui, can you see this? Our daughter has grown up. She's becoming more like you every day. She's so well behaved and obedient, 100 times better than that bastard child. Don't worry, I'll take care of that troublesome mother and daughter pair soon, very soon, when the time comes. Our little family of 3 can be together forever. His voice sounded particularly eerie and terrifying in the dead of night. Huddled under the blankets watching the scene unfold on my phone screen, I felt chills run down my spine. My teeth were chattering uncontrollably. Shui, who is that girl? What do you mean our daughter? What does dispose of that mother and child mean? A terrifying thought began festering in my mind. Su Jiangwo's kindness toward Lin Xiaoxiao was never just some simple financial support. He saw Lin Xiaoxiao as the daughter he could have had with that woman named Shui. He wanted to rebuild a family for his deceased white moonlight and her supposed reincarnation, and my mother and I, we were just the obstacles that needed to be removed from this picture-perfect family. Now I finally understand why he drugged my mother, why he treated me with such cruelty, because in his twisted world, we were never his family. We were his sworn enemies. The mortal foes standing between him and his so-called true love. This realization sent chills down my spine. What I was facing wasn't just a biased father, but a complete and utter madman. Ever since uncovering Su Jiangwo's secret, I've been living in constant terror and vigilance. I don't dare go home casually anymore, afraid that lunatic might notice something amiss. I could only watch everything happening in that house through hidden cameras, like some peeping Tom. After my mom stopped taking clozapine and switched to vitamins, her mental state visibly improved. She's no longer drowsy all day, and her eyes gradually regained clarity. She began to grow suspicious of Su Jiangwo's behavior. Jiangwo, I've been feeling dizzy lately. What exactly are these pills you've been giving me? Maybe we should go see a doctor. One day at dinner, my mother cautiously brought up the request. Su Jiangwo's face darkened instantly. What hospital? Do you think I'd poison you? These are just mild sedatives. It's all in your head. He cut my mother off harshly, then softened his tone as he handed her that bottle of vitamins. Be a good girl now. Take the medicine, and you'll feel better after some rest. My mother glanced at him, hesitation and fear flickering in her eyes, but she swallowed the pills obediently in the end, watching the scene on screen. My heart felt like it was being torn apart. No more. I can't let this go on any longer. I need to pick up the pace. I sent Grandpa both the video of Su Jiangwo paying midnight tribute to his white moonlight and updates about Mom's current condition. Grandpa responded quickly, Li Zhenhua, Nian. The evidence isn't sufficient yet. This video alone can only prove his mental instability at best. It doesn't constitute a crime. We need more direct, more compelling evidence. Li Zhenhua. I've hired a private investigator to dig into that woman Shui's background, and assign people to investigate the relationship between Su Jiangwo and Lin Xiaoxiao. On your end, keep enduring and gathering evidence. Remember, your safety comes first. I knew Grandpa was right. When dealing with someone like Su Jiangwo, you must strike a fatal blow, leave no room for comeback. So, I poured all my energy into 2 things. First, working like crazy to earn money. Second, studying obsessively. I spent every spare moment in the school library, checking out every book I could find on aviation and flight, physics, mathematics, meteorology, aerodynamics. These theoretical subjects that once gave me headaches became my sole emotional anchor. With money saved from part-time jobs, I secretly enrolled in an online pilot theory course. The course was so expensive it nearly drained all my savings. Every night after my dorm mates fell asleep, I'd huddle under the blankets with my battered phone. Secretly watching lectures and taking notes, I could feel my dreams slipping further away, but I couldn't give up. I must make myself stronger and better. Only then, when the day comes that I finally crush Su Jiangwo and Lin Xiaoxiao beneath my feet, can I righteously tell them, the future you destroyed was so brilliant, and how utterly unworthy you both were. Time slipped away day by day in this oppressive yet hectic routine. Soon enough, the day arrived for Lin Xiaoxiao to begin her study abroad journey in the UK. To bid her farewell, Su Jiangwo decided to host a grand send-off banquet at Zhengqing's most upscale hotel. He invited all relatives from both the Su and Li families. Under the pretense of giving Xiaoxiao a proper send-off, he gathered everyone together. I whipped my head around. In reality, it was just his stage to flaunt his exemplary parenting skills. On the day of the banquet, I received a call from Su Jiangwo. His tone carried an unmistakable air of command. Sun Yan, you must attend Xiaoxiao's farewell dinner tonight at 7 p.m., Hyatt Hotel. If you don't show up, I'll personally come to your school and drag you there by force. I held the phone and let out a cold laugh. Drag me there? Of course I'll be there. How could I miss such a grand occasion and spectacular show? Not only will I attend, but I'll also bring them a special gift. A gift so shocking, they'd never see it coming. At exactly 6:30 p.m. I showed up at the entrance of the Hyatt Hotel. I hadn't changed my clothes. I was still wearing the same grease-stained waiter's uniform from my kitchen shift, carrying that faint whiff of cooking oil. I hadn't even washed my face, messy hair, and a sallow complexion. The whole person looked poor, tacky, and utterly disheveled. When I stepped into that opulent banquet hall, all eyes turned toward me like synchronized spotlights. Those relatives in their finery, holding wine glasses, looked at me with undisguised disdain and contempt. Oh my God, is that Sun Yan? How could she show up dressed like that? What an embarrassment. How could Su Jiangwo have raised such a daughter? I heard she bombed the college entrance exam, ended up at some third-rate vocational school, and now works as a waitress in some diner. TSK, what a shame. She used to be such a promising girl. I turned a deaf ear and strode straight toward the head table in the banquet hall. There sat Su Jiangwo, flushed with pride as he basked in everyone's flattery. Lin Xiaoxiao, dressed in a pristine princess gown with exquisite makeup, perched gracefully beside him like a proud white swan. The moment Su Jiangwo saw my appearance, his face darkened instantly. Sun Yan, what are you wearing? Are you deliberately trying to humiliate me? He growled under his breath, barely containing his rage. Lin Xiaoxiao rose to her feet, her face a perfect mask of feigned shock and concern. Sister, how could you let yourself become like this? Did someone mistreat you outside? Tell uncle everything. He'll help you. Once again, her words skillfully redirected all the conflict squarely onto me. The relatives' murmurs grew louder. This child is so ungrateful. Exactly. Her father treats her so well, yet she's still dissatisfied. I ignored them. I just walked up to the head table, pulled out an empty chair, and sat down. Then, in front of everyone, I fished something out of my greasy pocket. It was a battered old recorder. I placed it gently on the dining table. The appearance of the voice recorder instantly froze the atmosphere at the dinner table. Su Jiangwo's face turned from dark to ashen, his eyes fixed on the recorder with a flicker of panic. Sun Yan, what's the meaning of bringing this out? Put it away immediately. He reached out, attempting to snatch it. I was quicker than him, snatching back the recorder and clutching it tightly in my palm. Dad, take it easy. 5. I looked at him with an innocent smile. Isn't today Xiaoxiao's farewell party? I came specifically to give you all my blessings. This blessing of mine is rather special. It requires everyone to listen quietly together. As I spoke, I pressed play on the recorder. After a faint crackle of static, a familiar voice emerged from the recorder. It was my motherly Huey's voice, carrying a slight tremble and unease. Jiangwo, I've been feeling palpitations lately. Could we go to the hospital for a checkup? What followed was Su Jiangwo's impatient rebuke. Checkup? Nonsense. You're just idle. I told you it's just neurasthenia. Take some medicine and you'll be fine. Stop imagining things all the time. The banquet hall fell silent instantly. The relatives exchanged bewildered glances, their faces a picture of astonishment. Everyone in the family knew my mother's health was failing, but they had no idea this was how Su Jiangwo treated his ailing wife. Su Jiangwo's face turned beet red with fury. Sun Yan, turn that off right now, you ungrateful brat. How dare you record this? He roared like a caged beast, lunging forward, but several quick-thinking relatives restrained him just in time. Jiangwo, calm down, let the child finish speaking. An elderly uncle urged. The recording continues, but I keep feeling there's something wrong with the medicine you've been giving me. What's wrong with it? Would I ever hurt you? Listen here, Li Hui, don't bite the hand that feeds you. If it weren't for the daughter you bore me, I'd have divorced you long ago. You think I want to stay with this hag? If it weren't for our Ashua, I wouldn't spend a single day looking at your face. The moment Ashua left my lips, Su Jingwo's body stiffened abruptly, all color drained from his face, leaving it deathly pale, and this was the moment I had been waiting for. I turned off the recording, looked up, and scanned the faces of my relatives, who were all staring in shock. Then, with an innocent and curious tone, I asked, "Dad, who is this Ashway you mentioned? From the way you talk about her, it sounds like you really loved her. You even said you stayed in this miserable marriage with Mom just for her sake." "Then what exactly are you to Mom and me? Did you stay with our family just out of gratitude?" Each of my questions struck like a knife, hitting Su Jingwo right where he was most vulnerable. His eyes widened as he stared at me, lips trembling without uttering a single word. He probably never imagined in his wildest dreams that those secrets he whispered to the ancestral tablet at night would be exposed like this, by me. Of all people, the relatives were completely up in arms. Ashway, which Ashway? Is Su Jingwo seeing someone else? My God, he actually wants to divorce Li Hui. No wonder Li Hui's health has been deteriorating. She's been driven to illness by him. In an instant, accusations and gossip surged toward Su Jingwo like a tidal wave. The verbal onslaught left him reeling, barely able to keep his footing. Lin Xiaoxiao, sitting beside him, didn't look any better either. She probably never expected I'd pull this move. Her meticulously planned moment of glory had now turned into a farcical trial of her so-called benefactor. Frantic with tears welling up, she desperately tugged at Su Jingwo's arm. Uncle, explain quickly. It's all a misunderstanding. My sister, she must have gotten it all wrong. She's still trying to play her innocent little White Lotus act to muddy the waters. Too bad nobody's buying her act this time. I looked at her and let out a cold laugh. A misunderstanding. Why don't we ask my father and find out? My gaze returned to Su Jingwo. Dad, won't you say something? Just who is this Ashwa? What exactly is your relationship with her? And when you said for our Ashwa's sake, exactly who does our refer to here? I pressed forward relentlessly, leaving him no room to breathe. Su Jingwo was being driven back step by step, his sanity teetering on the edge. He stared at me, his eyes brimming with venomous hatred and raw terror. You wretched bastard, what the hell do you want? I don't want anything, I shrugged, feigning innocence. I just want everyone to judge for themselves. Let them see what a magnificent husband and loving father you truly are. Take a good look at this pure-hearted, kind and sensible Xiaoxiao beside you. What a grateful little angel she truly is, I said, turning my gaze toward Lin Xiaoxiao with an increasingly radiant smile. Isn't that right, Xiaoxiao? Lin Xiaoxiao shivered under my stare, instinctively shrinking back. Just then, the doors to the banquet hall were violently pushed open from the outside. 2 bodyguards in black suits and sunglasses positioned themselves on either side of the entrance. Immediately after, an elderly man, seated in a wheelchair with a full head of silver hair, yet still exuding a powerful aura, was slowly wheeled in. Behind him followed a woman, dressed impeccably, with a weary face but remarkably clear eyes. It's Grandpa, and Mom, too. The moment I saw them arrive, I knew, anger. Only now has my grand gift truly been delivered. The banquet hall fell into dead silence. All eyes were fixed on the group at the entrance. Su Jingwo looked like his soul had left his body the moment he saw my grandfather Li Zhenhua, collapsing limply into his chair. And Mr. Li, what brings you here? His voice was trembling uncontrollably. Grandpa ignored him. His gaze cut through the crowd and landed on me. Those weather-beaten eyes brimmed with heartache and remorse. Then, his gaze shifted to my mother standing beside me. After stopping medication and undergoing careful recuperation, my mother Li Hui remained slender but had fully regained her vitality. She was no longer that timid, submissive housewife who'd let others walk all over her. Her eyes now carried the steely resolve and piercing clarity of someone reborn from ashes. She pushed her grandfather's wheelchair forward, step by step, making her way toward the head table. Each step felt like a stomp directly on Su Jingwo's heart. Su Jingwo, my mother finally spoke, her voice quiet yet carrying clearly to every ear in the room. We need to talk. Su Jingwo stared at her as if he'd seen a ghost. Your illness, you're better now, thanks to you. I'm still alive, my mother sneered. Mind telling me who this Ashway you keep mentioning is? Su Jingwo stammered, cold sweat beating down his temples in fat droplets. He threw Lin Xiaoxiao a pleading glance, but Lin Xiaoxiao was currently like a clay idol fording a river, barely able to save herself. She stared at my grandfather and mother, her face deathly pale, barely daring to breathe. You won't talk, is that it? My mother's eyes turned ice cold. Fine, if you won't speak, I'll speak for you. She pulled a stack of documents and a yellowed old photo from her bag, then slammed them violently onto Su Jingwo's face. Chen Shui died in a car accident 20 years ago. She was your college sweetheart, your unforgettable first love, wasn't she? You've always believed it was me, this spoiled rich girl, who came between you, that I used my family's influence to force you into marriage, which led to her death. Isn't that right? Su Jingwo looked at the photo, trembling uncontrollably. How did you know? How did I know? My mom laughed, her voice filled with sorrow and mockery. Su Jingwo, Did you really think Li Hui, was a fool? You never married me for some bullshit, love. You were after my family's money and influence from the start. You've been spending my fortune while secretly supporting that white moonlight of yours behind my back, and after she died, you even brought her niece into our home, raising her like your own daughter. My mother suddenly whipped her head around, her gaze piercing through the petrified Lin Xiaoxiao like a dagger. Lin Xiaoxiao, am I right? With a loud thud, Lin Xiaoxiao slid off her chair and collapsed to her knees. Auntie, I don't know. I really don't know anything. She was wailing hysterically, still trying to play the same old trick. Sadly, this time no one would believe her tears anymore. You don't know. Grandfather finally spoke, his voice as cold as ice. Then how do you explain this paternity test report? The bodyguard behind him stepped forward and flung a document in front of Lin Xiaoxiao. You were never Qin Shui's niece, you're her blood sister, Qin Xiaoxiao, and your father wasn't some poor farmer, he was the drunk driver who caused that fatal crash. It was Su Jiangwo all along. For years he's been embezzling our Li family's money to cover your tracks, forge your records, and orchestrate this whole scheme to infiltrate and betray us. Every word from Grandpa exploded like a bombshell in the banquet hall. The shocking truth left everyone utterly dumbfounded. Lin Xiaoxiao, no, she should be called Qin Xiaoxiao. Staring at the paternity test results, she completely fell apart. No, that's not how it is. When Su Jiangwo heard the words hit and run driver, it was as if the last ounce of strength had been drained from his body. He knew it was all over. All his pretenses, all his schemes, crumbled pathetically before absolute authority and irrefutable evidence. At that moment, I finally rose from my prolonged silence. I walked up to Su Jiangwo and looked down at him with quiet dominance. Dad, I've got one last gift for you. I pulled out my phone and tapped open a video. The video shows a living room in the dead of night. Su Jiangwo lit a candle, murmuring to Qin Shui's memorial tablet, You, Shui, don't worry, I'll take care of that troublesome mother and daughter soon. I've already drugged the old woman. She won't last much longer. Once Xiaoxiao goes abroad, I'll make sure the little one has an accident too. Then our family of 3 can be together forever. The video ended. A deathly silence fell over the banquet hall. Everyone stared at Su Jiangwo with the horrified look reserved for the devil himself. Premeditated murder. This charge alone could land him behind bars for life. Su Jiangwo had completely lost his mind. He suddenly sprang to his feet, eyes bloodshot, and lunged at me. It's you damn bastard, I'll kill you. Before he could reach me, 2 black-suited bodyguards rushed in and pinned him firmly to the ground. 6. As for me, I just watched him coldly, staring at the man who gave me life, only to personally cast me into hell. I slowly crouched down, leaning close to his ear. I whispered in a voice only we could hear, Dad, forgot to tell you something. In your past life, you made it. I died on New Year's Eve during senior year, but this lifetime belongs to you now. May you rot in hell with your love for Aksu. I wasn't hiding. With that, I stood up without giving him another glance. I knew it then. Every nightmare from the first half of my life was finally over. My brand new life was just beginning. Su Jiangwo's screams and curses were mercilessly silenced by the bodyguards. He thrashed like a fish on a chopping board, his futile struggles fading into desperate gasps. Qin Xiaoxiao, Lin Xiaoxiao, collapsed like a rag doll, her ashen face streaked with tears and snot as she babbled, "It wasn't me," repeatedly, not a trace left of her pure white lotus persona. The relatives who'd been fawning over them moments ago now recoiled as if from the plague, desperate to avoid any association with the venomous couple. Their faces were frozen in shock, lingering fear, and faint glimmers of relief. Grandfather Li Zhenhua waved his hand, his voice as cold and hard as steel. The 2 bodyguards immediately pulled out their phones. No, don't call the police. Su Jiangwo heard those words and let out a final, desperate wail like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Li Hui, for the sake of our marriage, for the sake of Nian Nian being our daughter, please spare me this once. He's playing the emotional card now. My mother Li Hui stared at him with utterly placid eyes, brimming with nothing but bottomless disgust. Husband and wife, daughter, Su Jiangwo, when you drugged me, when you were about to murder my daughter, did it ever cross your mind that we were your wife and child? You never did. In your heart, there's only your white moonlight and that fake daughter of hers. We're just obstacles in your path of revenge. Every word from my mother pierced Su Jiangwo's heart like an awl. He was completely silenced. Good. The police arrived quickly. The moment the cold handcuffs clicked onto Su Jiangwo and Qin Xiaoxiao's wrists, the nearly 2-decade-long conspiracy finally came to an end. Attempted murder, long-term poisoning, identity fraud, property embezzlement, they shall face the full force of the law. The farce ended as guests dispersed. Only our family of 3 remained in the deserted banquet hall. Grandfather looked at me, his wrinkled face breaking into a heart-rending smile. My dear child, I'm so sorry for all you've been through. I shook my head, walked over to him, and gently hugged him. Grandpa, thank you. Thank you for giving me a ray of light when I was at my most desperate. My mother walked over and wrapped her arms around us from behind. The three of us held each other tightly in a warm embrace. 18 years overdue. This family reunion came late, but thankfully, not too late. It wasn't until I returned to my grandfather's villa in Jiangqing that I truly understood the meaning of home. No oppression here. No scheming, no endless quarrels, just warm lamplight and the caring gazes of family. Grandpa had a brand new room prepared for me, easily 10 times larger than my old one. The room was filled with all kinds of airplane models I loved, plus a massive astronomical telescope. Nian, Grandpa knows how much you love these things. From now on, chase whatever dreams you have. Your grandpa will always have your back. Watching all this, my eyes welled up with tears again. My mother patted my back gently and said softly, "Silly child, go take a shower and change your clothes, wash away all that bad luck." After showering and slipping into clean, soft pajamas, I felt like I'd come back to life. Sitting on the plush bed, gazing at the starry sky outside the window, I experienced an unprecedented sense of peace and security for the first time. The next day, my grandfather's legal team showed up at my doorstep. They brought with them Su Jiangwo and Li Hui's divorce agreement, along with a detailed asset division list. That's when I realized all of Su Jiangwo's assets, including that small company he was so proud of, were actually funded with my mother's premarital property. He's nothing but a gold-digging freeloader. Legally speaking, he won't get a single cent after the divorce. What's more, he'll have to pay substantial compensation for the mental and physical harm he caused my mother. Frankly, he'll probably never repay that money in his lifetime. I've already given instructions regarding Su Jiangwo and Chen Xiaoxiao's case, Grandpa said casually, sipping tea on the sofa. With multiple charges stacked together, they won't see daylight for at least 20 years. This outcome satisfies me completely. As for you, Grandpa turned his gaze toward me. I've already processed your withdrawal from Jiangqing Vocational School. The offer from the British Aviation Academy has been sent to your email. Next month, you'll be heading abroad. I looked at my grandfather, my heart swelling with gratitude. He had paved every step of the way for me, a golden path leading straight to my dreams. After a moment's hesitation, I finally spoke up. Grandpa, I think I'll postpone going to the UK for now. Both Grandpa and Mom froze in surprise. Why? Mom asked, clearly puzzled. Nian, haven't you always dreamed of becoming a pilot? This is such a golden opportunity. Yes, it's been my lifelong dream, I said earnestly, looking at them, but I want to earn my way in fair and square, through my own efforts, not by riding on my family's coattails. In my past life, others controlled and shattered my destiny. This time, I'll piece it back together, bit by bit, with my own hands. I want to take the college entrance exam with dignity, just once, to proudly see my name written on the admission letter of Beihua Aviation Flight Academy. This isn't just about fulfilling a dream, it's about making a clean break from the weak, helpless person I used to be. Grandfather gazed at me in prolonged silence. His piercing eyes seemed to see straight through all my hidden thoughts. Finally, he smiled with quiet satisfaction. That's my Li Zhenhua's granddaughter, spirited to the core. Grandpa's got your back. If you want to retake the exams, I'll find you the best teachers in all of China. If you want to take an exam, I'll book out the entire school just for you to use as an exam hall. In short, you just focus on moving forward. I'll handle everything behind you. I laughed until tears streamed down my face. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you, Mom. Back from hell, I can finally chase my son without hesitation. My life turned upside down after deciding to retake the college entrance exams. True to his word, Grandpa pulled out all the stops, leveraging every connection and resource to create what could only be described as a premium study environment for me. Instead of sending me to those sketchy cram schools, he arranged for a private top scorer boot camp exclusively for me at Jiangqing's most elite private high school. I was the only student in the class. All my instructors were top-tier experts in their respective fields, handpicked from across the nation with premium compensation. My physics teacher coached National Olympiad gold medalists, the chemistry professor retired from the National College Entrance Exam Committee, and the English instructor was a visiting scholar at Oxford. The sheer prestige of this faculty lineup left me utterly awestruck. My daily routine simply shuttled me from one classroom to another, receiving one-on-one spoon-fed knowledge cramming. At first, I wasn't quite comfortable with it, but soon, I became fully immersed in this pure learning environment. Like a parched sponge, I voraciously absorbed the nutrients of knowledge. The problems that once troubled me became crystal clear under these master teachers' guidance. My grades improved by leaps and bounds. Beyond academics, my mother took meticulous care of every aspect of my life. She prepared different nutritious meals for me every single day. Bird's nest, sea cucumber, cordyceps. She'd give me all the finest things the world has to offer if she could. Watching her rosy cheeks and bustling figure, I finally understood how blessed I am to have a healthy, loving mother. Though Grandpa returned to Beijing, he still video calls me almost daily. He'd share fascinating business anecdotes with me and tell stories of his youthful struggles, broadening my horizons. He always said, "Nian Nian, a woman needs more than knowledge, she needs vision." Don't limit your perspective to exam papers. Look at the bigger picture. Under such meticulous care and access to elite educational resources, I underwent a complete transformation. I was no longer that gloomy, frail girl consumed by bitterness. I'd become confident, cheerful, with a sparkle in my eyes. Of course, I never forgot my original dream. My grandfather specially installed a professional-grade flight simulator for me in the penthouse of our villa every week. I set aside a full day for flight training on the simulator, from takeoff to landing, from instrument recognition to emergency procedures. I practiced over and over again. Though it's just simulation, every time I grip the control stick and see that virtual runway ahead, my heart races uncontrollably. I know I was born to conquer the skies. Time flew by in a flash, and before I knew it, the day of my second college entrance exam arrived, the moment I stepped into the exam hall. My mind was calmer than ever before. This time, my beloved family stood firmly behind me. The future was truly in my own hands now. I have nothing left to fear. The day the college entrance exam results came out, the entire River City was in an uproar. 750 points, perfect score. Not only did I reclaim the title of provincial top scorer in Jiangqing, but I also made history in the national college entrance exams. Media outlets swarmed in like bees to honey. Countless offers came pouring in. Both Tsinghua and Peking University rolled out their most generous offers, competing to recruit me. On the day of submitting my college choices, I didn't hesitate for a second. With solemn determination, I wrote down my dream school as the first choice, North China Aviation Flight Academy. This time, no one could ever shatter my dream. When I held that acceptance letter bearing my name and photo, I hugged my mom and cried like a child. I finally made it, through my own hard work. I rightfully pushed open that gateway to boundless opportunities. On the first day of school, my grandfather and mother accompanied me to campus. The campus of Beihua Aviation School was even more magnificent than I had imagined. Rows of brand new trainer aircraft stood parked on the massive tarmac. Upperclassmen in crisp blue uniforms moved briskly across campus with military bearing. The very air carried the distinctive scent of the open sky. Watching all this, I felt like I was in a dream. "Do you like it here?" Grandpa asked me with a smile. I nodded vigorously. "Yes, then study hard." Grandpa patted my shoulder. "When you graduate, I'll get you your own plane." I chuckled. "All right then, I'll be waiting." College life turned out to be even more exciting than I'd imagined. Everyone here has an almost fanatical love for flying. We attended theory classes together, trained on simulators together, and argued passionately over every flight maneuver. Here, I've met many like-minded friends. For the first time, I truly understood what youth really means. I'd almost forgotten the names Su Jiangwo and Qin Xiaoxiu, until one day, I received an unexpected phone call. It was Li Shan calling, you know, my college roommate, the smoky-eyed girl I once stuffed grape skins into her mouth. Her voice on the phone sounded hesitant and awkward. Sun Yan, do you still remember me?" "I remember. I saw the news. Congratulations on getting into such a great school." After a long silence, she finally stammered out the reason for her call. "Actually, there's something I need to tell you. It's about Qin Xiaoxiu. I saw her at a nightclub the other day. She seemed to be working as a hostess there." Hearing the name Qin Xiaoxiu didn't stir the slightest ripple in my heart. Whether she's living well or dead in a ditch, none of my business anymore. Seems she's hit rock bottom, Li Shan added over the phone, her voice dripping with schadenfreude. Heard from regulars there that she's drowning in debt, got forced into the trade. That night she got wasted, clinging to some old geezer, sobbing and screaming, "I'm not a hostess, I'm an international student." Got slapped so hard she couldn't get up for ages. Serves you right. I gave a non-committal wanting to drop the subject. "Did you call just to say that?" "Oh, no, not really," Li Shan quickly explained, apparently picking up on my coldness. I wanted to apologize to you. Back in the dorm, I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you that way. Only now do I realize how hard it must have been for you back then." Her apology actually sounded quite sincere. "It's all in the past," I said calmly. "Every grievance has its source, every debt its debtor. Why?" Li Shan and her crew were just dumb pawns Qin Xiaoxiu used to do her dirty work. They've learned their lesson, so let bygones be bygones. Su Jiangwo and Qin Xiaoxiu are the only ones I consider my enemies. After hanging up, I quickly put the matter out of my mind. Qin Xiaoxiu got exactly what she deserved. I've no interest in watching a cornered rat's death throes. I have more important matters to attend to now. After a year of theoretical study and simulation training, I finally experienced my first solo flight. It was a perfect day with crystal clear skies. Wearing my sharp blue flight suit, I walked step by step toward my CJ-6 trainer under the watchful eyes of my instructor. I meticulously inspected every component of the aircraft: wings, landing gear, propeller. Then I slid open the canopy and climbed into the cockpit, fastened the seatbelt and put on the flight helmet. The moment I gripped the control stick, the entire world fell silent. All I could hear was the pounding of my own heartbeat. Tower, trainer 057 requesting takeoff, trainer 057, cleared for takeoff. I took a deep breath and slowly pushed the throttle forward. The engine roared to life. The plane began to taxi down the runway, picking up speed, faster and faster. I gently pulled back on the control stick. The nose of the aircraft tilted up slightly. The next second, a powerful thrust pushed me back into my seat. I felt my entire body break free from gravity's pull. I was airborne. I'm actually flying. Through the canopy, I watched the city beneath my feet shrink away, with checkerboard patterned fields stretching beyond. In the distance, I saw undulating mountain ranges and ribbon-like rivers winding through the landscape. The entire world unfolded before me in a breathtaking spectacle unlike anything I'd ever witnessed. At this moment, I feel like the master of the sky. 7. All restraints, all pain, all hatred, they all seem trivial and insignificant now. I've finally realized my dream. At long last, I've become the person I aspired to be. I soar freely through the sky, performing maneuvers I've practiced countless times in the simulator, banking, diving, climbing. I feel completely one with this aircraft, until the coach's voice came through the headset. Sunyen, excellent work, prepare for return. Though reluctant to end the flight, I followed orders and began adjusting course for landing. The moment the aircraft's wheels made smooth contact with the runway, I knew my aviation career had officially begun. From that day on, my life took off like a rocket. I aced all my flight training courses with perfect scores. Whether fixed-wing aircraft or helicopters, I could handle them with ease. I even represented our university in the National College Aero Modeling Competition and brought home the championship. I became the brightest star at Beihua Aviation School after graduation. I didn't hesitate to join the airline under my grandfather's umbrella. I started as a co-pilot. Through professionalism and dedication, I gradually earned everyone's respect and recognition. 5 years later, I finally earned my 4-stripe epaulets, the insignia of a captain. That day, my grandfather and mother came to the airport in person to celebrate with me. My grandfather truly kept his word. He gifted me the world's latest model, a Gulfstream G650 private jet. My initials SN were elegantly painted on the fuselage. Standing before that brand new, gorgeous aircraft, I beamed like a child while looking at Grandpa and Mom. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you, Mom. It's you who made me who I am today. My mother held me in her arms with teary eyes. Of course, silly child. This is all your own hard work paying off. Your mommy's pride and joy. Our family was basking in happiness and joy. The arrival of an uninvited guest shattered this beautiful moment. Nyan, no, Captain Sue, a hoarse, unfamiliar voice spoke up behind me. I turned around. An elderly sanitation worker with graying hair and weathered features stood a short distance away, gazing at me timidly in his uniform. He was clutching a broom in his hand. He looked vaguely familiar, though I couldn't quite place where I'd seen him before. Then he raised his head, revealing those murky, greedy eyes I'd never forget. My heart sank like a stone. It was him, Su Jiangwo. What's he doing here? Shouldn't he be in prison? Su Jiangwo looked even more aged and wretched than I'd imagined. His back was completely hunched, his face etched with deep wrinkles like crumpled newspaper. The orange sanitation worker's uniform hung on him, looking grimy and worn out. If not for those eyes, I'd have never recognized him as the once ambitious and arrogant Su Jiangwo. What are you doing here? I asked coldly, my voice devoid of any emotion. Su Jiangwo rubbed his hands together, forcing a smile uglier than tears. I got early release for good behavior inside. After getting out, couldn't find work, ended up as a janitor at the airport, just scraping by. He made it sound casual, but I knew there was more to the story. With the crimes he committed, there's no way he'd be out this soon. The only explanation is that Grandpa pulled some strings behind the scenes. I turned to look at Grandpa. Grandpa's face still wore that same unreadable, composed expression. I was the one who got him out, Grandpa said calmly. Why? I asked, confused. Letting him rot in prison would be too merciful. Grandfather glanced at Su Jiangwo in the distance, his eyes flashing with cold ruthlessness. My heart skipped a beat. I'll make him watch with his own eyes as the daughter he once despised rises to glory. Step by step, I'll make him spend the rest of his life repenting for his past folly and malice. I'll force him to live on in endless remorse and envy, writhing in agony. So this is the cruelest revenge of all. Killing a man merely ends his suffering. Breaking someone's spirit is the ultimate punishment. Su Jiangwo clearly heard his grandfather's words too. His body trembled even more violently. He stared at me, at my crisp captain's uniform. Then at the brand new luxury private jet behind me, his eyes brimmed with a tumult of emotions, shock, envy, remorse, and a faint trace of pleading. Nyan Nyan. He took 2 faltering steps forward, my name rasping from his throat. Dad, I was wrong. Back then, I was completely out of my mind. Can you ever forgive me, son? The audacity of him, expecting my forgiveness. I stared at him like he was some pathetic clown. Silence lingered on the other end of the line. Forgive you. Sure thing, I smirked and pointed at a trash can nearby. Get on your knees now, crawl over there, and lick that trash can clean for me. Lick it clean, and I might consider forgiving you. Su Jiangwo's face instantly turned beet red. He never expected me to make such a humiliating demand. His body froze in place, completely paralyzed. Honor and the will to survive waged a desperate battle in his mind. What? Can't handle it. I arched an eyebrow, dripping with sarcasm. If you can't do it, then get the hell out. Don't you dare utter my name with that filthy mouth of yours, and don't you soil my sight or taint the ground beneath me. With that, I turned away without another glance and tipped my mother's arm. Mom, Grandpa, let's go. Don't let people like this ruin our good mood. The 3 of us walked straight toward the VIP airport passage without looking back. Behind us came Su Jiangwo's desperate, piercing wails. Nyan Nyan, Nyan Nyan. I was wrong. I swear I was wrong. Give me one more chance, I'm begging you, because I know some people will never deserve forgiveness. My mother's eyes stayed red the entire ride home. Mom, are you having second thoughts? I asked softly. My mother shook her head and took my hand. It's not about being soft-hearted. I was just thinking, if back then I'd been a little braver, a little stronger, maybe you wouldn't have had to suffer so much. I held her hand firmly and looked into her eyes with sincerity. Mom, this wasn't your fault, and those hardships weren't in vain. They shaped me into the stronger person I am today, so let's not look back anymore. We must keep moving forward. My mother looked at me and finally gave a relieved smile. Good, our Nyan Nyan has grown up. From now on, I'll always listen to you, sweetheart. Life seemed to finally return to its rightful peace and beauty. I thought my entanglements with Su Jiangwo and Chen Xiaoxiao would finally come to an end. But little did I know, I'd see Chen Xiaoxiao again just days later, or rather, what I saw was her corpse. She had jumped from the highest river crossing bridge in Jiangqing. By the time they found her, the body was so waterlogged it was unrecognizable. Among her belongings, the police found an unsent letter addressed to me. The letter contained just one sentence. Sun Yan, I'll haunt you even as a ghost. The sterile white lights in the police station cast a chilling glow. Staring at the water-stained letter with its blurred handwriting, I felt completely numb inside. Even as a ghost, you won't let me go, Chen Xiaoxiao. You probably still don't realize, I am the vengeful spirit that crawled back from hell. Miss Su, our investigation shows Chen Xiaoxiao met with Su Jiangwo before her suicide. Officer Zhang, who was handling the case, handed me a written statement. Su Jiangwo claimed that Chen Xiaoxiao approached him demanding a large sum of money to start fresh abroad. When Su couldn't produce the money, they had a heated argument. Chen cursed him as worthless, saying she must have been blind to ever believe he could help her get revenge or provide a better life. And then, she left. We suspect she must have been driven to utter despair, with no way out, which led her to take her own life. I glanced at the interrogation record and let out a cold laugh. It's a classic case of thieves falling out. The venomous father and daughter pair ultimately turned against each other. What a perfect irony. This letter should be handed to you as per protocol, Officer Zhang said, placing it in an evidence bag before offering it to me. I didn't take it. Burn it, I said flatly. I don't want anything of hers to remain in my world. Officer Zhang paused for a moment, then nodded. Understood. Stepping out of the police station, the sunlight felt blindingly bright. I looked up at the vast blue sky stretching above me. Several planes roared overhead, leaving white contrails in their wake. Suddenly, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. Chen Xiaoxiao's death weighed on my heart like the final, heaviest stone. Now, that stone has finally been lifted completely. All the hatred and entanglements dissipated with her passing. Like mist under the sun, from this day forward, my world holds only blue skies, white clouds, and the family who loves me. My life has indeed been getting better and better. Just as I'd hoped, I became the youngest and most accomplished female pilot at the company. I've flown to every corner of the world. I've watched the sunset under the Eiffel Tower in Paris. I chased the northern lights under Iceland's starry sky. I witnessed the great migration across Kenya's savannah. The world unfolded its most breathtaking vistas beneath my feet. Grandpa remains in robust health. He's handed over all company operations to professional managers. Now he and my mom enjoy a carefree retired life, traveling to scenic spots. They often travel around the world on flights piloted by me. Every time, I'd make an announcement from the cockpit to say, "Dear Mr. Li Zhenhua and MS. Li Hui, welcome aboard this flight. I'm your captain, Sun Yan. It's my honor to be the one flying my dearest family members today." Every time. My mother would beam like a child in the cabin, and Grandpa would proudly tell those around him, "See that? The one flying the plane, that's my granddaughter." Days like these are truly wonderful, so wonderful that I nearly forgot all those unbearable memories from the past. I'm operating a flight from Jiangqing to the capital. As passengers boarded, I stood by the cockpit door as usual to greet them, then I spotted him, Su Jiangwo. He'd aged considerably since our last meeting. His hair had turned completely white, his back was even more hunched. Clad in an ill-fitting cheap suit and carrying a battered suitcase, he stood out awkwardly among the economy-class passengers. Our eyes met across the room. He froze at the sight of me, his eyes wide with terror and panic. Instinctively, he turned to flee. "Sir, may I see your boarding pass?" My voice remained calm and professional, completely devoid of emotion. His hands trembling, he pulled out a crumpled boarding pass from his pocket. I took it and glanced at the details. "Mr. Su Jiangwo, welcome aboard." I returned the boarding pass to him with a courteous after-you gesture. He walked past me with his head down, like a child who'd done something wrong. Not another word was exchanged between us the entire time. The plane took off right on schedule. Now I finally understand. At 10,000 meters, I steadily piloted the aircraft through the cockpit window. I could see the magnificent landscape unfolding below. A profound serenity filled my heart. I knew Su Jiangwo was sitting right behind me in that cramped economy-class seat. His life had been permanently anchored to the ground. My life is just beginning to soar. Between us lies an insurmountable chasm 10,000 meters high. Perhaps this is the best ending we could hope for. The plane touched down smoothly at Beijing Capital International Airport. Passengers began disembarking one after another. I stood by the cabin door, bidding farewell to each passenger. Su Jiangwo was the last to exit the aircraft. He stopped right in front of me. He looked up and gave me a long, penetrating stare. Then he bowed deeply at a perfect 90-degree angle. I remained silent, simply watching him quietly, straightening up without another glance. He turned away, dragging his battered suitcase as his hunched figure disappeared into the bustling crowd at the end of the boarding bridge. Watching his retreating figure, I suddenly felt at peace. All the hatred vanished into thin air at that very moment. I no longer hate him, because he's simply not worth it anymore. I turned around and walked back into the empty cockpit. Sitting in the captain's seat, I gazed at the vast expanse of sky that belonged to me beyond the window. I picked up the microphone and softly began humming a tune. It was the song my mother used to sing to me when I was little. I want to soar through the sky. Standing shoulder to shoulder with the sun, the world awaits my transformation. The melody echoes through the empty cockpit. Beyond the window, a brand new sun rises steadily from the horizon. I know the golden age meant for me has finally arrived.